What one do you want to do first?
Let's do RRR first.
Sweet.
Yeah. Because I kind of really want to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll just dive into it.
Because like I don't know anybody else that's seen it. That's the thing.
So you go on Netflix and it's like, this is one of the most watched movies in 47 different countries in the first 24 hours of release, and I'm like, I haven't talked to anyone that like I'll go RRR and they go, what's that?
Yeah. I think it being an Indian movie has propelled it into popularity also.
I think it's a funny
funny contrast. There we go. I will do the intro.
All right.
Look, some days you have to film a sequence in which the rain is pounding down on someone and you're just turning the camera on what's happening. And other days, you occasionally have to spray Robert Pattinson in the face with a fire hose. Who said this?
Who's the new director of Batman?
Matt Reeves?
Matt Reeves.
Nope.
Damn. Couldn't tell you any other films that I think. Maybe the Soki brothers? The
Safdie brothers?
Safdie brothers.
The Soki brothers. Those are their Asian counterparts.
Yes. So speaking of Bizarros.
Yeah. No, I will give you a hint.
Okay.
He directed a movie that was on my top 10 list of...
Oh, yeah.
2022.
I'm gonna get this shit. I don't know.
Robert Eggers. He directed The Witch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman.
I'm trying to think of... Okay, so is he just joking with Pattinson, or were they in a film together? Because there's like this movie called Good Earth or something like that they... I don't know what other movies Eggers has done.
So
and it doesn't sound like...
Robert Pattinson's
The
in
Lighthouse. That's right.
Which, there's a lot of rain, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of spraying in the face.
It happens a lot. I think it's one of the worst things I have in movies. Well, I shouldn't say that. I love
water?
It. Well, no, but the actors.
Oh, actors.
I really think that shit.
I hate actors in movies.
Well, I'm saying the elements. I feel like when you have the element, because we'll talk about it in Twister, but when the elements are involved and you have to use them, I think it really turns off a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so. Especially with reading about how Twister was being filmed and just how Jan de Bont was acting the entire time.
I'll be curious because I got to see the behind the scenes. They did like the making of.
Yeah,
and the testimonials from the guys were very like reading this off of a script, not like really selling how much fun they had.
Yeah,
so,
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
like Jan de Bont's holding them at gunpoint.
Dude, it was what like Bill Paxton was like got on there. Not to take away from the quote, but I'm just thinking of Pattinson. Like Eggers says that, and Pattinson's just like, yeah, I fucking hate. Like, but if he was in the making of, he'd be like, it was great. Right. The water was coming down. It was so realistic. I had such a great time making this.
Oh,
dude,
my God.
That's what Bill Paxton essentially said. And like, he's just staring and like kind of doing like a half smile. And I was like, he's getting paid an extra $2 million to do this. So don't fuck up my bill or my film bill.
I guess, yeah. I realize that when we do the quote intros, I think we often forget to introduce ourselves. So my name is Kyle, by the way.
And I'm McClain.
Hello.
I just had The Godfather on. I was listening to it on the way over here, and I realized that my voice sounds like my tongue is getting sucked up into my throat.
That's a very specific description.
I don't know how to stop it.
Can we get an artist to draw that for us?
Yeah.
And frame it?
That'd be great.
It'd be... So you know the episode of SpongeBob where Squidward accidentally swallows a fork and it gets caught in his throat and he goes... Mwah,
yeah.
Mwah. It'd be like you, but with your own tongue. I want that exact same like style of
but it's not like that. That's a down... I'm saying like it's going up into my nose. Like...
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, like it's caught in like your nose holes.
Like I feel like it's getting pulled back and it's taking away oxygen going through my nose.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's just how I was listening to myself, and that's the first image that popped in my head. I was like,
I will say I like your voice.
It's unique.
Yeah. It is, I think, near impossible to replicate, I feel like.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
That is one of the things.
The only one that I think could maybe do it is your brother. And your brother also has a very distinct voice of his own.
Yes. So. I think it's a little bit more enunciated.
Yeah.
But
I like the ruggedness of what you bring to the table.
Yes. It makes the Neon Crew the Neon Crew.
Exactly.
Well, half of it. It's the Neo part.
So am I the on part and you're the Neo part?
I'll let you take whatever half you want because I know you're more of a Keanu guy.
Okay.
So the Neo could be you.
We can have joint custody.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Every other Sunday we'll take ownership of the different.
Yeah. You get it on release day. I get it on recording day.
And then there will be different times where it's like, I'd actually like to switch up some of the letters. I would like the N, and the CEW part.
Yeah. And then there's a whole court dispute, and yeah.
But then no one knows, like, we can't settle.
Yeah, we can't. It's just an ongoing thing. It's like North Korea and South Korea. The war is technically not over.
Same with splitting the name. All right. Well, there you guys go.
Speaking of names, there's a lot of names that were listed in the nominations for the 2023 Oscars.
Yes.
Yeah. So I figured we could talk about this for a bit before
For sure.
delve into our discussions, kind of go over, because they announced the categories, they announced the nominations, and I figured we could just list them off, kind of get our thoughts.
Name some big ones. I don't know. There's 26 of these things.
There's 23 categories, I'm pretty sure. We don't have to like go over, like I can name them all, but we don't have to like comment on every single one of them, just because.
You're going to name off all 23 with all 5 in each category?
I'll go quick. We can.
I don't know. Why don't we just put that on check out the Facebook page?
Yeah.
I don't know if you need to go. That's going to take you 4 minutes. And I don't know if people want to listen to just names being read.
Well, I think it'd be cool at least to get our thoughts on at least the major categories. So like best picture.
That's what I'm kind of saying. I don't know about all 23 categories, but the ones that there are some, I don't know, controversial. It kind of feels really
there's some interesting
American to go like, hey, isn't this controversial that this person makes $40 million didn't get nominated?
Yeah, there's some interesting choices that were included or not included. So I guess we'll I guess we'll comment on that. So I guess I'll start with nominations for Best Picture. So we got All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun: Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking.
I'm actually excited to see Triangle of Sadness. That guy, that was in the same article that RRR pulled up on. So I added it to the list. It was kind of funny because I saw Woody Harrelson.
Oh yeah,
it was like in the picture, and I was like, "Hey, that's funny." There's a movie that I want to see that has him in it. I was like, "That can't be the same one, is it?" And it is. So
okay, I had no idea he was in it.
Yeah.
The only ones I haven't seen are Tar, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. I've heard a lot of good things about Tar. I think I've seen a couple screenshots of Triangle of Sadness, and then I've seen previews of Women Talking, just playing in whatever movie I'm seeing in the theaters. And
sure.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it looks like the least interesting one that I haven't seen yet, but I'll check it out. Yeah,
I mean, we have to. So at some point, we're going to have to talk about all 10 of these films.
We're contractually obligated from ourselves.
Yeah.
The interesting picks to me for Best Picture are mostly Avatar: The Way of Water.
I'd say that and Top Gun.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I think Top Gun, I actually think it will win some of the visual effects or the cinematography. There's a couple that it's in that I'm like, in terms of a movie, I mean, it makes it like a thrill ride.
Yeah, I think it's got a shoe in for like some of the technical stuff.
Yes. But I thought it was kind of, and usually I think what happens is the way that we have it with 10, it's like, all right, if you're in 4 other categories, we might as well get you into the, Avatar just is, well, I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, I would much rather have saw The Whale as nominated for Best Picture.
Find one other film.
Right.
Like,
I don't know. It feels like sometimes they include a movie in there just to appease, like, the popular general audience. Like shit ton of people saw Avatar, so we're like,
grossed $2.2 billion. We might as
gotta put it in.
Yeah, so now people that actually enjoyed it are like, I'm gonna turn on the Oscars and watch it.
Exactly. It brings in like the general audience viewers.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen. Like, let's all admit it. No one gives a fuck.
No one does.
I went there to have porn for my eyes. Like, that was it. Like, it's just how stunning and beautiful it is. Other than that, these people probably care less.
Yeah. So we got nominees for directing. So Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonagh, Everything Everywhere All at Once by the Daniels, The Fabelmans by Steven Spielberg, Tar by Todd Field, and Triangle of Sadness by Ruben Östlund.
So all 5 that are for the directing also up for Best Picture.
The only one that isn't in the Best Picture category is The Fabelmans.
I thought they were in Best Picture.
Oh, they are. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was looking at the.
I thought it was kind of odd that they got that. I mean, it said it cracked your top 10 for 2022, right?
It got pushed out.
Oh, it did
recently. Yes.
Recent. Interesting.
A
Okay.
little small preview for what we're gonna talk about.
Okay. Sweet.
Yes. So yeah, I don't know. I'd be happy with a Banshees win. I'd be happy with an Everything Everywhere win.
I would too. I think everywhere would be awesome for A24 and for the style of movie that it is, where it doesn't have to be. We can lose some sort of sense with groundedness, and have fun with these things.
I think that this year's Oscars picks are more interesting to me than last year's was.
I'd agree.
Yeah, it just seems like the movies that they picked this year, for a lot of the parts, are just overall better. I think.
I agree. Well, we're getting away from the melodramatic theater style, where it's got to be drama filled, really technical, really solidified story. Like they're branching out into like we can encompass more genres in here. Like I don't think that's the reason why Top Gun I'm kind of shocked, but also not shocked. Because we got to start getting some of these other films that. Avatar's the one I'm kind of grossed out by, but also, it's nice that they're starting to include and they're recognizing what's going on, and you bump it to 10, so you might as well get like some other fun movies in there that maybe don't have a chance of winning, but at least people are interested, and it opens up the market and more viewers, like we talked about, Everything Everywhere All at Once, more of like an indie crowd, right? So maybe, although it probably goes against their ethos to watch the Oscars, you might be able to tap into some of that.
Yeah. You could tell that they just put all their eggs into Everything Everywhere's basket. Nominees for Actress in a Leading Role: Cate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough from To Leslie, Michelle Williams from The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Having yet to see Tar, I will say that my pick is for Michelle Yeoh.
I think so too.
Yeah. I would be happy for her to win. It's very interesting they nominated Ana de Armas. That one kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit.
One, I got to imagine that she really did some politicking to get involved in that. The other one is... we throw it around a lot. She's so brave with what she did.
She just cried a lot in the movie.
Yeah, and she
was naked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, man. You don't see a lot of guys do that, walk around nude and cry. So it'd probably be like a turnoff.
Don't, but I don't know how you spend your Saturdays.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. It's weird to me because like a lot of people criticize her performance in it, and I don't know if I'd say that it was bad, but it was just so one note. Like you just get a bunch of crying the entire time.
She was very one dimensional.
Yeah, there's no like versatility to it or anything.
No, not at all. I don't. That's another head scratching one.
Yeah,
but I don't know. We maybe we'll watch some films or we'll be able to say, oh, that person definitely should have been in over her.
Yeah,
I was trying to think. Keke Palmer was the one that.
That's what I was thinking.
I thought she was like, if we're branching out. I mean, come on, let's get. I think sci-fi is gonna be the last thing that's ever incorporated. Like, I think a lot of those old white dudes in the Academy just like
aliens. Well, stupid and goofy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nominees for actor in a leading role: Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, and Bill Nighy for Living. I would be cool with a Colin Farrell win. I would be really cool with a Brendan Fraser win after having seen The Whale, because he really does give a good performance. And I don't think I would be too upset for an Austin Butler win, just because he was the best part of Elvis. Like, he actually did give a really good performance for that film.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Aftersun and I haven't seen Living, so I can't comment on those two.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Actually, I've only seen... I don't know if I've seen any of those films. Maybe one? No, I haven't seen any of them.
Well, we got some homework.
Yes.
Nominees for actress in a supporting role: Angela Bassett, Black Panther; Hong Chow for The Whale; Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Sue for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm really surprised that they nominated Hong Chow for The Whale and not Sadie Sink, because Sadie Sink is like the secondary character for The Whale who like plays his daughter, and she gives a really good performance. And not that Hong Chow doesn't give a good performance, but it's like she's much more of a side character than Sadie Sink is. So that was a very interesting, kind of weird pick for me.
The other aspect to what's going on with the Oscars after a lot of the political talks is probably the diversification of who's getting in. So once they kind of even out the playing field and it doesn't look like people get snubbed because of the color of their skin or, their political ideology, like then we'll get back to being able to fairly pick out who's in it. So I don't know. That's kind of how it's felt too. I mean, with some of the movies and some of the people that are nominated,
Yeah. Nominees for actor in a supporting role: Brendan Gleeson for Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fablemans, which really fucking doesn't make any sense to me. Barry Cogan for The Banshees of Inisherin, Ki-Hai Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
This one, I'd like to see him win.
I would really like to see him win. Judd Hirsch does not make any sense to me because he's in the movie for like 10 minutes. And there are a lot more other supporting actors in the movie that
Anthony Hopkins is only in fucking... I'm drawing a blank right now.
Silence of the Lambs?
For 8 minutes. And he swept the Oscars.
Yeah, but he was like way more impactful though. Like,
Judd Hirsch technically it kind of revolves around his actions, so
exactly too. Like he has an impact on the story. Like Judd Hirsch, he shows up, he goes blah 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 blah, and then he leaves. Like that's pretty much it. Yeah, like that's his whole extent of his character. Paul Dano, I think, does a better job of being a supporting actor in that movie. I think they should have nominated him, but oh well.
All right, old man Kyle.
They should have nominated my boy Paul. Nominees for visual effects: we've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: Way of Water, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Top Gun: Maverick. So this is one I think I would be okay with Top Gun winning. It'd be cool to see an All Quiet win, but I feel like they're going to give it to Avatar just because it has the most visual effects in it.
Fuck that, dude. You can't go volume over quality.
The Oscars usually does sometimes.
I don't know. Sometimes, but it depends. Like, Dune won this category, but like when you watch Dune, you're like, it felt like there was another planet Earth. Like when I'm in Pandora, I'm never like, oh wow, this could be somewhere. I don't know. I mean, it like I said, it is stunning and it's nice to be in that world. But in terms of like practicality, I definitely feel like Top Gun or The Batman.
I feel like they're either going to give it to Top Gun or Avatar. One of those two.
I think, honestly, though, this is probably the most competitive category.
Yeah, I would say so, too. Nominees for cinematography: All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, False Chronicles of a Handful of Truth, Elvis, Empire of Light,
what is this?
and
what are we
Tar.
doing?
Cinematography.
Oh.
Yeah. I feel like they're going to give it to Bardo, probably. It's Inarritu's new film. Guy who directed Revenant and Birdman.
I know who he is. Sorry. For those that don't.
For the audience, man.
Yeah.
For Stacy at home listening or whoever.
In case you guys don't know, why don't you brush up on some of his films? It'll go down really smooth.
Yes.
I think.
Bardo is very pretty looking. I didn't love it, but it's gorgeous to look at. So
okay.
I feel like they're probably going to give it to that.
I think All Quiet could rival this.
All Quiet's good. I feel like Nope was kind of snubbed for this category.
Oh my God, dude.
Pretty hard. Specifically.
I've watched Nope 2 or 3 weeks ago again, and it's still stunning. I mean, following the guys on the horse, the motorcycle, just some of the shots, just in the wide sweeping landscape and the point, like come on.
I'm just really stunned that they didn't nominate it for that at least. Nominees for film editing: The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun: Maverick. I feel like Top Gun's kind of got this in the bag, or Everything Everywhere.
I'd go Top Gun. The Top Gun was film editing. Yeah, I don't think there's really too many herky-jerky shots, and especially with what they had to do and what they were working with.
I agree.
You know, just being in the planes themselves.
Yeah.
So, and, yeah.
I think it's got a good shot. Production design, All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, or The Fabelmans. I'm thinking either Elvis or Babylon. Those are very kind of production design movies.
What were they again?
The nominees. All Quiet, Avatar, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans. Yeah.
Production design? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see... Because I'm always curious with the production design. Like, does it encompass everything into including landscape, costume, just the whole everything going on with the sets?
I think mostly the sets and the locations. Because
I would be all quiet.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen Babylon. I don't know what's Babylon about.
Babylon's it's very it's kind of a period piece almost. It's the new Damien Chazelle movie.
Oh, that's right, with Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. I do want to see that one too, even though that's fucking 3 hours too.
Yeah, it is. If you go and watch it, just prepare yourself.
That's not good news.
Nominees for makeup and hairstyling: All Quiet, The Batman, Black Panther, Elvis, and The Whale. I don't know. I'd like to see an All Quiet win, but they're probably going to give it to Elvis.
I'd go Batman.
Yeah. The Batman had some good makeup, specifically the eyeshadow around Pat's eyes.
Well, you got Colin Farrell, who's unrecognizable.
True. I almost forgot about him.
There's enough, I think, going on in there with how they had to deal with some of that stuff.
Yes.
All Quiet was in there. I could see that one too. That guy they all go from looking healthy to looking like fucking just walking skeletons.
Yeah, just completely disheveled. Nominees for animated feature film: Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. Probably going to give it to Pixar, so we can move on.
Are we really going through all of these things?
I'm going to skip some. The lesser ones are kind of later.
Or movies that we haven't seen, because I'm not going to be able to talk about any of these things if I haven't seen them.
Right. International feature film, the only one that we've seen is All Quiet.
RRR didn't get nominated?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. Neither did Decision to Leave, which was Park Chan-wook's new movie.
I haven't seen that. Have you seen it?
I've seen a lot about it, but I haven't seen. It's all over film forums online and stuff.
Okay, things to check out.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the best movies of 2022, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. I tried to watch it one day I think it was free on Mubi, and I tried to get a free trial going, but for some reason my phone was being wonky. Documentary, do we want to skip that? Original song.
I don't think we have to go into...
Well, RRR is nominated.
Not to?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I can read through it. I think we've seen most of these.
Okay.
Applause from Tell It Like a Woman, Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick by Lady Gaga, Lift Me Up from Black Panther, Natu from RRR, and This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
So maybe RRR just being fresh, but what they did with that song too. I think all the other songs in there are probably the James Bond intro. I like the Lady Gaga song, Lift Me Up.
I don't remember.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, Lift Me Up was Black Panther.
That was Black Panther.
Hold My Hand is the Lady Gaga
I think if I heard there, in terms of sweepingness, Natu does it. Now the Black Panther, there was some scores in there that were definitely apropos to what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a big like the James Bond intro songs. I hate when those get nominated because I'm which I'm kind of thinking the Top Gun, when Top Gun ends, I bet you the Lady Gaga song comes on.
Mm-hmm.
They did that with Beyonce and
The Lion King.
No. The King Richard.
Oh yeah.
I remember that was one I was this Beyonce was favorited to win it, and I'm when's this song come on? And then the credits hit, and boom, here she is, and I was oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw it in.
A lot of them just get they just get big name artists to make a song for the movie, and it's oh, now you're nominated for Oscar.
That's what I'm saying. If it has and I think Everything Everywhere All at Once, if that would have came on, like I'm thinking it towards the tail end when everything's starting to kind of wrap up. You remember and how all these like connections were coming back, and it was very uplifting. Like if that, I remember a score being in there, but I don't know if it was just simply like an orchestra or if it was actually. I got to revisit that.
Same here. So we got animated short film. Do we want to skip that? Live action short film. We'll skip that. Original screenplay.
Ooh.
The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. Ooh, I really want to see Banshees win this one.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm down with Everything Everywhere.
I'd be okay with that too.
I'd be that one. The Banshees is coming on here shortly. I'm throwing that on. I keep like.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I'd be curious your thoughts.
Yes.
Don't want to sway you one way or the other. Nominees for adapted screenplay. So All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking.
It's kind of weird that Top Gun Maverick had adapted. I don't know if they pulled from the original.
I think it's because if it's a sequel, it's technically an adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
Like I was reading about that online.
I could see that. That's what I'm saying. Like if the source was from the original screenplay, it's kind of like you're, you know.
Yeah. Like that's why Glass Onion is nominated also, even though it's technically like
that's
a follow-up.
The other one that I was like, I saw too. Those two, I was like, how is this, you know?
Right. It made me question too, but I was reading about it. Rooting for All Quiet for that one.
Yeah.
Original score, All Quiet, which I would root for. Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Fabelmans. I loved the music from All Quiet on the Western Front.
Same here. I mean, it was very original. I mean, it probably got nominated. But yeah.
We got two more. So nominees for sound, All Quiet, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun's got that one. I think we can confidently say. And nominees for costume design, Babylon, Black Panther, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, or Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, which I have no idea what that is.
No, I don't either. But
honestly, every single one of these has a good chance. I don't know about Miss Harris, but
was the Batman in there?
No. Nope, another snubberoonie.
They edged that out to get Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
Yeah.
Is it a Dr. Seuss fucking movie?
Yeah, we can't have Batman in here.
Yeah. Even though it might be better to have it for costume design than it would be for makeup.
Yeah, probably. The Bat costume looked pretty good in that movie.
Well, I'm just thinking about all the villains, the Joker. I mean, maybe that's why they pushed it into that one. They viewed the Joker and the Penguin more of that. But anyways,
Babylon I think could take it just because
I think Elvis. This is the one that I was thinking that Elvis would. But most of the time too, I'll say like I always go with like the Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if they're just pushing it, it's got to be really good to have only one nomination and it's for costume design.
Yeah.
But sometimes depending on how big it was, which just doesn't seem like a big film, you don't have enough money to hand over to the Academy to get the win. So.
Yeah, and that is those are most of the categories and nominations for the Oscars.
Yeah.
So I think we'll pretty much do the same thing we did last year. We'll have an episode where we talk about the Best Picture nominees and get our thoughts on it. You know, we can do it after the Oscars is aired. We can talk about the Oscar show for a little bit beforehand. So look forward to that. Yeah,
that's coming down the pipe about a month away.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
We got a little bit more time ahead of us now.
Oh my god! Well, I'm gonna like fucking prep Mac. Like that's all I'm thinking right now. Like, well, you got 3 left, right?
Yeah, I've got Tar, Triangle, Sadness, and Women Talking.
I got 6 left, but we made the decision that we're gonna do this 6 weeks ahead of time as opposed to 2 weeks.
Yes.
So and I think
rushing.
Last year we were both in the same boat of having only seen 4 out of the 10.
Yeah. We were both like trying to cram 6 movies in like the span of a week pretty much.
So my god, what was the one that
Belfast?
Ugh.
Yeah. Easily the worst one last
That's
year.
the way of the water to me this year.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you never know. The other movies could come over the horizon and be like, hey, you hate me more. You know?
True. We don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of knowing, I know we are going to have a time talking about RRR.
Yes.
I am looking forward to this.
This is going to be an interesting one.
Let me look up some info about this, and then I'll let you have Twister.
Yeah. Perfect,
Okay.
because I don't want to try to pronounce half these names.
So, this is a 2022 Indian Telugu language epic action drama film. I can't barely speak. I guess Telugu is another way of, like, people call it Tollywood. So it's technically not a Bollywood movie, but it's Tollywood, essentially. It's like amongst like the same kind of, I don't know.
What would you call it? The formula?
Yeah, that's I think a good word to put for that. It stars N.T. Rama Rao Jr., Ram Charan, and a bunch of other people.
You guys aren't going to know who's in this.
Yeah, unless you're listening from India. Shout out.
True.
And is about, it's set in the 1920s. The British have still India under colonial rule. Mm-hmm. And there you follow two characters. One who goes by Kamaran Beam, who has to rescue his sister from British captors who have taken her from her village in the forest.
Yep.
And then it also follows Alluri Sitamara Raju, who is a soldier for the British Empire, who was born and raised in India. And the two of them become friends, and a friendship forges, but meanwhile, they are both hiding something from one another that could cause conflict.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
there you have it. Spoilers for RRR from here on out. If you haven't seen this, check it out. It's on Netflix. Mm-hmm. It is 3 hours long, so just keep that in mind, I guess. I'm going to say it. I really fucking love this movie.
Yep, I had a feeling. Like, as soon as you said it got bumped. I was so curious.
I think it's on my number 5 spot for best.
Wow,
of
holy
2022.
shit!
It knocked out The Fabelmans.
Jesus, number 5. Yeah, knocked back some too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like right below The Whale, but I think right above something else. I think like maybe The Batman. I don't know.
Good. All right. I mean, I think then I'm solid with where I'm at with it, but dude, number 5.
Yes.
That's like I'm so shocked. This movie
I had a lot of fun with this.
It is so much. It's a lot of fun.
It's very fun. And I think that, having never really seen like a Bollywood or a Tollywood type movie, I think this was a solid one to like really start with.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not going to be able to, I can't get into, I don't know if I'll be able to get into more of Bollywood films.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I had a hard time. You can't deny how much fun this one is. But the relationship's pretty good with those two guys, and I mean it's a passion. It feels like a passion project.
Yeah. I think what I really love about this movie is you can tell that the people making it were having like the time of their life.
Oh yeah.
Making this movie.
Yeah.
And the whole movie is kind of weighed on like these two leads and their friendship and like how that works throughout the movie and how the story plays out from there. And I think that it works really well. I really enjoyed those two characters and like the energy that they brought.
Dude, they were like it got to a point, I mean, like me and Jasmine were joking about just frolicking. Like
Right?
They were just frolicking in a field. They go up to some sheep and then a boy chases them away and they're just like running away like giddy laughing.
Yeah, I was showing people the Natu Natu scene, which we'll talk about. But I described it when I was showing them the video as like, this is just guys being dudes.
Oh yeah,
It is.
That's how I go. Like when I'm at a wedding, like that's how I dance. Like not like to that. Like, and I'm fat as hell now, so not to that extent. Like I was watching, I was like, you got to be kidding me! How long they're like going? Mm-hmm. But the energy that they bring, and the whole time they're just staring at the camera, smiling, and just. And then the one guy gets involved, the antagonist of the scene gets involved, and then all of a sudden he's having fun, and I was like, ah!
I know, it's such like a feel-good moment. This movie has like a lot going for it in terms of like different genres, it feels like.
Oh, so real quick, just so everyone knows, I didn't know this, but those two guys were actually revolutionaries in India in different time spans. So the idea of the thought process behind it was, what if these two guys, like they say it's all fictitious, right? But it's like, what if they did meet up? What would have happened? So obviously this isn't even like, it's just a story of like they'd probably be cool, like good friends.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what they portray. It's not like how do we fucking take down the British. It was more of like, you know, like let's just say like they both have the same ideology and the like political beliefs and what they were fighting and representing. So like they'd probably get along really well. And it came across that way.
Yeah. I was really I shouldn't say surprised, but it was interesting to me that they were like real life people, like real life figures. I got a lot of sense of like just sort of like almost Hindu religion overtones towards the end when the
last song comes on.
The last song, or
like
the
when
guy
he
with
turns into yes,
he's basically like almost like a godly figure in that religion.
What happened was in real life that's Alluri. I can't find Raju, right?
Yeah.
He was an indigenous person. He lived in the forest, and that was his like actual look in real life. So when he transformed into that, it was actually just turning into but the way that these two guys are thought about in India is they're almost like deity, not deities, but you know they have the same reverence, if you will.
They're almost like saint status.
Yes, exactly. So Raju was born on the 4th of July, and they actually, I think that the not the town or the county, but that village or whatever you want to call it, you know, the province actually celebrates that as a holiday on the 4th of July for him. So that's why that cool transformation at the very end there, because I had the same thing. I was like, this is turning into like he just turned into a god, you know. But it was actually, and then like if you Google his name, those images of his statue are like split image of what he turned into.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, this movie was just, I don't know, like it's 3 hours long, but I really didn't feel like it was dragging. Like I enjoyed the pacing of it. I liked the different kind of genres it was taking on. Like at points it would feel like a musical, and then at points it was just straight up an action movie, and then at points
buddy film
it was like a drama movie where like you betrayed me, like all this stuff. Like I don't know, I really had fun with it. I think to me, if a movie, even if it's not like the best in terms of like overall quality, like, you know, there's a lot of bad special effects, there's a lot of bad acting, there's a lot of just stuff that doesn't work on a technical level. But I think that if they go 100% with it and they're having fun with it, like you can tell that there's passion behind it. I don't know. I think that alleviates a lot of the problems I would otherwise have with a movie like this.
Yeah, I mean, well, one, it's just a relationship that they forge. I mean, that is, it's as ludicrous as it was that scene for them to become friends. Like,
oh yeah, the introduction
he's
scene.
on a rock, and then the other guy's on a bridge, and he does like some weird hand motion. It's like, so the way he was doing it, I was like, I didn't pick up on it at first, and then when they kind of got to the very last, I was like, what are they doing? Like, are they gonna swing together? Like, someone's gonna like propel him down?
Yeah.
No, we'll just counterweight our body weight, pick up this kid, and do like this insane fucking like aerial assault.
Take this flag, shield myself from the fire as I'm swinging into it, and then like take it back out, and then we both like meet in the middle, and we've got this awesome pose that we're doing for like the shot. Then the title sequence comes up 40 minutes into the movie.
Yes. So they had it like, so it goes fire, and then they show Raju's story, and then they go and the water, you know, and then they show it was. But it was
Beam's story.
Beam's story. I keep thinking of Akhtar because that's what his.
Oh, that's what his like disguise name was.
Yeah, they both had like they were both hiding behind their name. Like it wasn't Raju, it was Ramu or Ram.
It was like Ram. They would just call him Ram.
And then it went to Raju and Beam when they got to know each other a little bit more. Yeah, but yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, dude, I was dying laughing. So I watched this with Jasmine. And she wasn't, like you said, 40 minutes, you know, like kind of like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know? And all of a sudden that kind of happened. And then they started doing like the becoming fast friends, you know? And she's like, I kind of like this, you know? And like, so they have the Hindu song come on though. And I'm reading off because they're just singing in the middle of the thing, explaining what the two guys are doing.
Yeah, or and what's going to happen later.
Yeah, and then they go like intertwined fate, but what fate will bring when both these friends know that each other has a secret of working against their own fate, and it's like they're telling us, and these guys are just like running around, like skipping and laughing.
Yeah, they're just riding on a motorcycle, just like having a good time.
Yeah, I was reading this off, and Jasmine's like, "You're really good at this. Like, you could, like, this is what you're thinking." I'm like, "No, they're just singing down. Like, they're literally telling us like what's happening. It's gonna happen." I was like, "This is so bizarre."
This is just like well presented exposition, is what this is almost. Like,
no, weird. Like, dude, imagine if you're watching Nope, and then all of a sudden, as he's in the truck, there's a song that just comes on with like, talking about like unforeseen things happening and not being able to just like, I don't know. It was like wild to me just having it right in the middle of it while a montage is happening. A lot of montages in this.
Oh yeah, a lot of montages, a lot of like really wacky editing.
Oh, dude, this thing is like
choreography,
over stylized to the maximum.
Yeah,
like,
this is what you would get, I think, if you took a movie, gave it a budget, and just said like, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, literally, like, don't let anything hold you back. Physics be damned.
Oh yeah,
just go for it. And I don't know. I commend it for it. I really enjoy it, and I think it it helps that I had fun with the characters.
Yes, this is exactly. I mean, you get to a point where it's like if you didn't like them, you'd be scoffing at a lot of the technical aspects. But because they're so much fun, it's like, all right, like. I don't know if you're a god or not, but hey, man, hop on his shoulders and fire out guns and let the other one fucking cock the gun, and flip him up in the air and catch it and shoot it and then drop it. I was like, they're doing it.
They're doing it. And I mean, usually when I view a film and try to like think of how I feel about it and like the rating I would give it, normally I try to find a good balance between like my enjoyability of it versus like if I think it's technically a good movie.
Right.
For some reason, this one, like the Venn diagram of my enjoyability has almost like overtaken what I think of like the technical aspects of it.
Now you know how Speed 2 feels.
Right. This is my Speed 2 almost.
No, this is actually a good film though. Like this is I think I could recommend this to people. It's an odd I don't know. It's like someone coming up to you and being like, "Dude, you got to try this ice cream," and them like just like loving the fuck out of it, and like I take a bite and I'm like, that's pretty good. Like, but then you watch everyone else. So all I know, you and Jasmine have seen it. She fucking loved this thing.
Oh,
she got done with this. She's like, this is a 9 out of 10. I was
nice.
like, I can't believe you were into this movie for 3 hours.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, that's the sentiment to the entertainment though that you get and the enjoyability of this thing is, and it helps with the relationships and it helps that the passion behind it and just busting out songs in the middle of it.
Yeah, well, if it took itself more seriously, I would be a little more, I think, stingent on it. A little more strict on what I would say about like the visuals and just like the characters and how like kind of cookie cutter the story is.
That's where I get a little into the maybe it did. Like, maybe it did take itself seriously, but that's just what you get from a Bollywood film. That's where I don't know. Like, if this was an American film,
right?
This is how our perception of it being like, that is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Like, it's goofy, it's over the top, but maybe, like, artist intention of what he tried to make, like, the director was like, I put my heart and soul into this. I wanted to craft a story from the bottom up, and I wanted to tell this emotional journey between these two friends.
Yeah, we're sitting there like, man, they fucking go out and dance again. Let's go.
And we're like, haha, funny men dancing.
That's I don't know, but the way that they like the very end of this thing when they're on the dance floor dancing and they're talking about all the revolutionaries that came through and the provinces that they defended or they helped, and the colonialism with the British. Even then, that's fun. Like they're like smiling, laughing. They're coming out. Everyone's like throwing glitter and stuff. Like.
Well, yeah, part of what makes me think that they intended it to just be as fun as I think it is like it's very colorful too.
Yes.
Like the movie has a lot of like bright poppy visuals to it, like with the animals and like the way they're dressed, like the dance scene with all the girls' dresses, like, dancing along. Like it's very eye-catching. Like if it was drab and gray and looked like, I don't know.
Dude, make this melancholy or make this like very dramatic.
Yeah, like if it was like colored like a Lars von Trier film, then I don't know. It would have been a little more. I don't know. It would have been a little more serious, I guess. But
yeah, it would have taken away from it for sure.
Yeah,
I think they were doing like more of a celebration and paying an homage to these people that have come through and helped India. And I think that's why it came out as fun. Because now it would be probably a different film if they were still under British rule. So,
yeah, then it would be wow,
probably the ending of Braveheart.
It'd be an act of revolution.
Yeah. But no, so I think all right. So I had a very hard time. It's just a different movie for me. Mm-hmm. And I had a hard time kind of wrapping my head around it, but I think I turned the corner when the Natu Natu song came on.
Yeah.
I was digging the friendship. I thought it was a very odd friendship that they forged.
Yeah.
And I really was like, I can't tell if that guy knows that guy is a bad guy or a good guy, you know? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like, it was a weird, like, hey, let's save this kid. And now we're just, so once they got into being friends, that was pretty fun. And you do believe the friendship. And there's one point where the guy hooks the dude up with a girl, in like the most wholesome way possible of no intentions. I'm just simply I know how, charm works. Let me help you out.
Yeah. That dance scene where he's helping his friend.
Yeah.
And like that whole sequence is my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
It's genuine.
Yeah.
It's really like you're at the mall with your buddy and you see like, oh, dude, there's Lindsay Florence. Like, I can't. It's like, come on, man. Let me help you out. And then you drop the disc because he knows that she's into like My Chemical Romance. And then it's like, pick it up and she's like, oh, hey. And then you're just like, like, I don't know who this is. And then your buddy just kind of like, oh, yeah, you remember that? We listened to this the other night. And then it's just like, hey, you guys go.
Yeah.
And then it's just like a dad, like, bye.
Yeah.
Good luck.
No, it's wholesome. It's got good choreography. The song gets stuck in my head all the time. Like I find myself singing it at work.
Really?
Natu, 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 natu. I probably drive my coworkers crazy with that, but I don't know. I love it.
It's a very fun. And it's all 4.5 minutes of it.
Yeah, it's long.
They do the whole song.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're gonna, we'd snippet some of these things and get right to the bridge, and we're gonna knock this out in 45 seconds. Like it's a whole scene.
Yeah,
and it's a really fun scene. I mean, they just get in there and the guy's being a dick, mm-hmm. and then his buddy comes in again, Raju comes in and he's like, I'm gonna help you out, Beam, and then all of a sudden they're just into it.
Yeah.
And then the whole place is going. And then the best part about it is at the very end of the dance, and he sees the girl and she's the only one rooting for Beam, and he's like, I'm gonna take the fall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you the W, man. Yeah. Because he doesn't fucking care. He's got all these other intentions to do this. What he's like trying to accomplish, and he doesn't know what Beam stands for. He just sees Beam as this ordinary dude that I'm gonna help you out.
Like the fact that they don't know each other's secret, like kind of paves the way for that genuine friendship to come out in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like you believe that they're actually friends because they're actually friends,
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's so well done in that way. Like the character sentiment.
Yeah, I was about to say, and then the interesting point is, which I really liked is Raju. You don't really know what he's doing there. And even after they get Beam, then you find out what he stands for. Mm-hmm. And then it proposes this like interesting contrast, like we said, of now he knows Beam's secret, but Beam still doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
So you start to see some of that unfold and unwind. And Raju's now going with this inner conflict of, I've told my whole village I was gonna help him out to fight the British, and I've gone so far to get to this point, but now I got my really good friend and I don't want to see him die.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to do the best he can to be like, dude, just go down. Like I
oh yeah, the flogging scene.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, and then she hands him the whip with the spikes.
Oh god, there was so much blood in that scene. That was like one of the few scenes I was like, oh, this is kind of
gratuitous,
grody.
I didn't know how
much
far they'd show ripped flesh. Mm-hmm. Especially when he fucking whips the post
and then just like,
and then you just
strips the wood off of it.
Yeah,
damn.
Yep. I was like, they're not gonna hit him, are they?
I was like, oh man, is this movie gonna make me pass out? Like,
I was wondering the same thing because they had a couple like not gory shots, but like shots to the head or like some blood that would like it'd go through a shoulder, and you'd see like kind of like Sin City, cartoony, kind of blood. But I mean, it's like it
very
was
like over the top.
Yeah, exactly. For entertainment sakes.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what kept me from like passing out or like looking at it in like I don't know about this kind of way.
It was for entertainment. I mean, they do it in a way that it like when they hit him and stuff. I mean, it's like, hey, but they don't show like bone,
No.
So
his arm's not getting severed off from him, What did you think about the flashback scene with Raju in his village that lasted like 20 minutes? Like where you kind of understand like his character motivations and like why he's doing what he's doing.
I liked it. I mean, like you needed it.
You did need it, but I think to me it was a little long.
I was about to say the whole film's a little long to me. Like there is so much shit. Like I told Jasmine, I'm like, they could have easily cut out 10 to 12 minutes with just how over stylized with all the slow motion effects. Mm-hmm. There is one point when he's gonna go rescue Raju once he finds out that the searchlight is coming over to him and he ducks to go under it, and they do it in slow motion. And I'm like, there's 3 seconds right there of him just ducking under a searchlight.
You're right.
Like it doesn't even have to, and he's like, and then it's just supposed to enhance like the, because you really don't know when they're going to catch these guys. I mean, they did a good enough job to keep you on your toes with getting discovered and found out. So I agree though. I mean, that scene was like a little.
Yeah, I think with that scene specifically, it just kind of stands out to me more because they do try to play it a little more serious than the rest of the film, because you're getting like the kind of sad, like, oh, my family's dying and I have to like, save the day basically for, I basically have to like shoot my father who's like got all these grenades on him. Like I have to be the one to like step up and be the man and pull the trigger. And like, I'm responsible for the village now. It's like, I get what the scene was going for, but I don't know. It stands out to me because the rest of the movie is so like goofy and like
that scene's goofy too, dude. He was a marksman and he like I was just sitting there laughing. I'm like, the uncle he takes out 2 guys and all of a sudden he's shot 6 times and is like still living. And then he hands the gun to this kid who's in the same exact spot the uncle is. So I don't know how he doesn't get clipped. And he is like just boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And then there's 120 men. And he's behind a log, and then it's like fall back, and it like that's what I'm saying. Like that, it was goofy. The whole thing's goofy.
It is, yeah. It's very goofy. It felt like it was trying to be more serious though.
What like the Sandlot? The folklore, the legends of Babe Ruth. It's they were just bringing it to light. Here's the folklore. When Raj was a kid, he took on 500 British soldiers. And they were bringing it to light. Like I think that's why, and they made it impactful enough. But like sometimes when it comes to things like that, it's hard to know how far am I suspending my disbelief. That's why this whole film to me was like, if you walk in and you can suspend your disbelief and go off the fact that they are making this off the. I'm trying to think of the word, the folklore, like these legends, these myths, these these characters and these stories that are real people,
historical figures.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's like Paul Bunyan with an axe. Like I don't know exactly what you call those types of.
Oh yeah, like tall tales.
Yeah, exactly. It's in Paul Bunyan might have been a real person with his blue ox, but it got to a point where he was 16 feet tall and he had a 4-ton blue ox.
Right.
So they might have put that on the film, and I think that's kind of why the goofiness is there. But you also have the realism with the friendship and the dancing and the enjoyment.
That makes sense to me, especially after learning that they were real historical figures.
Yeah.
That there's like a folklore element to it where everything is so exaggerated and over the top. Like these guys are legit. They have like borderline superpowers essentially.
100%. He takes out, dude. The first scene when he's like, arrest that man.
And he goes into the crowd
and he's just like beating ass.
Yeah, he's just beating the shit out of everybody. He's taking a beating, but he's also like, I'm gonna barrel through this and get this one guy, and nobody is going to stop me.
And it's so funny too. You're watching and you're like, what's his motivation? Like even then, you just don't know that what he's got. Like honestly, like so. that's why I was kind of saying, like, go into this knowing that, like, if you can go into this film knowing that, it helps out with, like, because you got to imagine the people that are watching this know those people. And so, like, when he goes in there, they're like, oh, yeah, he's going to, like, he's doing something. He's up to something. He's probably like a double agent, I had no clue. Like, you're just watching. I was like, why is this guy going in here and just beating the fuck out of him?
Right.
And I was like, oh, maybe they're pitting them against each other, I mean, yeah, great writing.
Yeah.
Because they really do. They do. But then they become friends and they're both working for the same cause. But at the same token, they are working against each other.
Yeah.
And you don't really know it. One of them, they actually don't. And then one of them, anyways.
Yeah, no, it's something I can get behind and it's something that I really like. Yeah, I when I watch this movie again, I'm definitely going to keep in mind, like, the folklore aspect of it. Like, the kind of, like, tall tale. Like, look at these figures in, like, a very kind of, like, exaggerated, like, as if someone was telling a story about them and being like, and then he took on 100 men and attached his grenades to his arrows and destroyed all of them.
That's how it, like, you get this film that these, like, or you get this idea in the film that these guys were deities. Like, I was like, they're, like, supernatural. And then I thought it had to do something with the Hindu religion. And I thought, and then reading up on them being, real figures, it's like, oh, that makes more sense why they were kind of making them very, larger than life and supernatural is because, like, what they represented and what they did for the country probably felt that way,
Yeah.
And then you get, the tall tale stuff. And then, these stories, they get more and more outlandish. But I mean, at the end of the day, what they represented and what they fought for was true,
The only thing that I recognized while watching the movie as, like, kind of a mythological sort of thing is, like, once he takes on, like, the arrow and the robe and, like, he's got, like, the long hair and everything, he's got the whole look. I think Rama is an actual deity in Hindu religion, from what I remember of my, like, because I took a studies of mythology class at Grand Valley, and we learned a little bit about, like, the Hindu mythology and, like, Indian mythology and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Rama was a figure that we learned about. Sadly, I don't remember too much of what we discussed with it, but I recognize the name, and he kind of had that same look.
I'm telling Google, just pull up the Google images of him. Just type in his name on Google. Like, dude, you're gonna see the same thing. It was really, like, I had to laugh when I Googled it because I wanted to. Was that Rama?
Yeah, this is the deity Rama.
No, I'm saying Google Alluri Siddhatu Raju.
I will.
They got, like, a bronze figurine of him. You got to look up him on IMDb. Yeah. That's how. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's a split image of who he ended up transforming to. So I bet you there's probably some crossover, but that goes in with the folklore and the tall tales aspect of it. So I'm not discrediting anything. It was very, like. It's a weird transformation that he makes. When in real life, like, this dude he was always in the force. It took 2 years to capture him, and they said that the British forces had to spend £4 million or whatever it was to funnel to these police, because he wasn't taking out, I shouldn't say forces, he was taking out the police in the province because they came down against the agricultural community, and they said they couldn't farm this certain type, probably commodity, because they were making a shit ton of money. They're like, oh, we can't do that because then they're gonna get weapons. So anyways, yes, it all kind of fits in. Then the very end there, I was like, I don't know if these are real people,
Right.
but
Well, now we know.
Yeah, I mean, so what was Natu is your favorite part of this film?
I would say so.
And then
It's just, I don't know. To me, it's a good representation of, like, what the movie is as a whole. Just kind of, like, over the top, fun, just zany, like. But they put a lot of work into it too.
Yes.
Like, you can tell that there's passion there.
Well, dude, the one that fight scene, the actor said that was the worst. That was the worst stretch of filming he had to do in a while.
Which fight scene?
The very first one.
Oh,
he actually went through those bodies. They had the assistant director would hold up a white flag anytime he needed a break, and then they'd mark where they were at so they can continue for continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, that's the most fucking exhausted I've ever been.
It looked very arduous. It's a good thing that these dudes are, like, in shape, because, man, they had to do a lot for this film. I would be curious to learn about, like, just the stunt work and all that went into like making those scenes, like those fight scenes specifically.
Yeah. There's a lot of choreography and marking involved. I mean, yes, very interesting. And it looks like it's different from some of the American ones where you can get what looks like a singular take, just a tracking shot.
Yeah.
This one you could tell that there was obviously a lot of editing going on. So I think it was probably easier to break up and hit certain, like, this is going to be the part now where he falls down and he's looking in the pile of men and he kicks the dude in the nose.
Yeah. So I had another weird experience with viewing this movie with like the subtitles and like the dubbing. So Netflix defaulted it to English subtitles, but with the English dub. So you were hearing English as well as getting the English subtitles, but the English that you were hearing did not really match up with what you were reading on screen. And it was throwing me off. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I wasn't sure if that was how I was supposed to watch the movie because some parts of India, they speak English. So I was like, am I losing my mind? Like, what's going on? And then I switched it to the Hindu language right before the Natu Natu scene. And I was like, this is much better. I wish I would have done this like 40 minutes ago.
So the director got pissed off at Netflix because the Netflix put up, what's the Telugu, the Telugu version of it. And that was where instead of the Hindu version with the dub. So that's why there's a whole different, dude, the whole script with the dub is different than what you're reading.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, that's what it happened to me when they took Mala. What was it? Mali?
I
think it was Mali.
I think it was Mali.
And the guy goes in there, the guy's like, just to let you know, the tribe you took this girl from has a shepherd, and he will stop at nothing to find this girl. And they're like, bring it. But then the whole, what they were saying was completely, I was like, what's going on here? Who's taking liberties on the, like the actors just coming up with like, I don't like the way this reads.
Yeah. They're taking shortcuts in the dialogue.
So I read up on, on IMDb, they said that the director got really pissed because there's two dub versions of it with the matched up with the film. So they took the Hindu film, but the Telugu dubbing for the script to read off, so it doesn't match up.
That's whacked out.
Yeah, that's what I had the same thing. I was like, how the fuck do you miss this thing? Like 47 countries, 24 hours, stop my ass.
Yeah.
Like how is this that far off?
Right. Oh my God. Yeah, I just had an issue with the whole like subtitle situation. That seems to be a theme with me, I think, for some movies. Is just just doesn't work out.
When I've almost turned off the dubbing, but for 3 hours I was like, I really like to have it right now. And then it turned into a little so honestly it actually added more to the zany goofiness of what was going on.
Yeah,
because you have all that shit going on the screen and then the dubbing doesn't even match with the the subtitles. So like I was like, it all was just like building into this goofy movie that I'm watching.
Yeah, goofy movie. Was there anything you wanted to say in terms of like, did you have any more like criticisms or like negative aspects that you weren't?
Dude, it's the whole the whole film with over stylization. The movie was shot with Ari Aflex LF camera, which I looked up because I was like, the frame rates to me felt like it was really sped up. That's why I had a really clean look.
Yeah, that
thing can get up to like a 60 frame rate per second, that's where you get the slow motion in. But I think a lot of the brightness and the when you have the central figure and he looks like very defined against the backdrop.
Yeah.
That's some of these cameras, I can't get into it. That's like the 4K stuff. They speed up those frame rates and that's where you get it. To me, it looks like you can tell it's very much movie-like instead of being in the real world because we don't pick up fucking 60 frames per second.
Right.
So
I noticed that in the Natu Natu scene.
Yes. It's very, that's what I'm saying, like, the over stylization, it really fits in with what the technical aspect, like that camera and what they brought with it, so that's where I get into that's my biggest criticism with the whole thing was just, and then once I started to wrap my mind around these guys being almost supernatural, I was really good with it because, well, the friendship's totally genuine, and it's like anyone could be friends like that. I was like, I was dying laughing because I was like, I haven't frolicked in forever, and here these guys are 30 years old. Like, let's go out in this field, dude. It's like, and
it's such a moment of satisfaction too when they do go through the struggle when they find out their intentions, and then they get back together and they're fighting side by side again. It's really like satisfying.
100. Well, because they get to the point where they're gonna kill Beam, and Raju. Oh my God, that was like maybe another the
when he shoots the gun towards Beam and the girl, but then he like intentionally aims away from them, but Beam still thinks he aimed at him.
It's not. No, that the first one's the governor with the car that gets flipped, and he literally gets shot up, and his gun is elevating with him, and in midair grabs it, does this, and pops Raju, who goes. His car fucking explodes.
And he gets like shot out like a rocket.
It was really funny too to watch that. That is a very humorous, like, so there's the slow motion of it with the car going up, and then the next shot is him getting hurled off into the woods at like a 90-degree angle. And it's just like this lifeless body exploding sideways. I was like, what is going on?
Oh my God.
And then he gets hit, but then you get the, you think Beam's, I literally was like, oh fuck, Beam, like Jasmine like gasped. She's like, like thinking that, and I was like, there's no way it ends here. Like, I was like, but you don't know with this film where it's gonna go. They easily could have killed him, and Beam could have went back and destroyed everything. It would have been like, man, like and then he finds out and cries, and then the Indian song would come on of like, fates were only destined for one of these, times. Now they clash and they're no longer side by side. And it's like, oh no,
Either way, it would have been an emotional journey.
It was. Oh my God. But then they fucking clash up, and then we're together, man.
I know. I couldn't help but think of the scene from The Predator when the two buff guys go like, son of a bitch. And they
Schwarzenegger
go like,
and Carl Weathers.
They join hands.
Yes.
They're
they arm wrestle mid-air.
Like,
fucking biceps are just popping. That's exact. Like, dude, but when they got back together, I was like, let's go. You know?
What's the opposite of toxic masculinity? This movie is like positive masculinity for me.
It really is interesting. And the guy even had to say something like, the director is like, they're friends. Like, that's just how friendships like work. Like, it doesn't,
It's funny that some people think that this is like, they're like gay for each other or like romantic.
It's just one of the, I think.
It's like what, two dudes can't just be friends?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it just doesn't happen like that late in life, I guess. Like, I don't know exactly because like they're both look like they're in their 30s.
Yeah.
I was just laughing with Jasmine because I'm not lying, dude. I was like, that frolicking scene, I was like, I haven't done this with any of my friends.
Right.
And I'm like, and you're
watching this movie, you're like, I kind of want to.
Well, and it's like one of those things where you're like, all right, like usually you see it with a guy and a girl when they do something like that. It's just these two guys, but then they get chased off by a kid they easily could have beat his ass.
Right.
And they're like, oh, they're like, we're just having fun. And then, but then what happens is once you get to the girl that shows up and Raju's like, he does all of his shit, he gets him connected, and then they go into the dance and they're dancing, and it's like, I've danced like this at weddings, like this is always fun, and then he takes the fall. So like you just see like, oh, they just genuinely care for each other and want to see each other do well, which is like where people should be at more in life with that is like, yeah, man, like whatever it takes, like let me help you out, let's go. Like that's why I really liked it, and I didn't. It's a little odd at first because they do, they save the kid and then they're like fucking hanging in there like that, and it's just like, boy, instantly bonded. I guess an event like that probably would do that.
Friendship established.
Yeah.
Hey, let's be friends because we're both badasses and we both saved this kid.
Dude, he's on the goddamn horse, on the motorcycle, and I'm like, what are they doing?
They're like riding towards each other.
Yeah, and then they like go, and then they both It was wild.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Oh my God. We can get into ratings. We can wrap this up. What would you give this?
All right. So I had to do the honorary mention of Jasmine. She liked it and she recommends it to all the lady audience members. Watch this thing and it's a smooth 3 hours. And I'm telling you, she is not a film person whatsoever. And she had the absolute ball with this thing. So like,
Nice.
if she enjoys a film, I'm like, all right, anyone will enjoy that film. You know. So I went 8 out of 10. I'm an 8 out of 10 guy.
Okay.
Like I said, the over stylization and just some of the what was going on. It's still, like I said, they called me an American idiot, So it's, or what's the LCD Sound System song?
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
No, it's American Scum, maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Green Day.
Yeah, no, so but I really, like, I'm telling you though, this is really fun in terms of like the entertainment. Like to me this is like what if I was a 16-year-old kid
Oh yeah.
watching this thing. I think this would be like really kick ass.
Absolutely.
But being where I'm at now, I'm like, it's a little too over stylized. I could use a little less. So yeah. You?
Ooh, this is a solid 9 for me. 9 out of 10.
Yep.
I had a lot of fun with this. I loved the friendship. I loved the characters. The whole passion behind it, and I think that's what it really boils down to for me, is that they just had fun making it, and I could tell that they had fun. I think that that's really what solidified my enjoyment of this movie for me, and the fact that they just went 100% into like a lot of what they did. Like they I don't know. It just felt like pure fun, and I think that there's no malice behind it.
They went the way that, like, I think about it is they didn't tiptoe.
No,
they didn't soft. They go, you guys are gonna dance, you're gonna sing a song, and you're gonna fucking smile at that camera for 4.5 minutes. And then they're like, oh man, really? And then they start doing it. They're like, hey, this is kind of fun, and then it just turns out it's just they're having a great time. So yeah, I think it's easier to, it's enjoyable too, because if you were to think about a folk hero of yours, and to actually get it on the camera for something that they did that you believe in, you probably have a good time making it.
Oh yeah.
So.
And they do it in a way that's like, I don't know, it's I feel like respectful of the actual figures in a way. Well, they don't paint them as like villains or anything.
They never do anything bad, and the most that you see is you turn on your friend, but it's for a greater cause.
Right.
Which is a great philosophical point, because these guys, they didn't grow up together, they don't really know each other, but they've forged this friendship that is that got to that point, and it's like, I don't know where I stand now. And I thought that's an interesting situation to be in.
Yeah.
So, by the way, the only other one other criticism I had is when he gets bit by the snake. He said it's going to take a day to recover. It took him off 20 minutes. God knows what the fuck was in those leaves. And the amount of half-naked men screaming and shouting while hitting things, I was like, take that out. You know, there is like a decent amount of just a guy getting, like, he's healing from the poison and striking things and screaming, and then just takes off.
Yeah.
The very beginning of the film, he just goes in, like, you didn't make the special forces thing, or even Beam after the tiger scene.
Yeah, right.
Like, just, for no reason whatsoever. But whatever. That's the only other thing I was like, all right, like, they're supernatural great. I get the point. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know why
they're
it was
badasses.
Yeah. So maybe that's just like a really, cool thing to see, is guys
Look at
just
how cool these dudes are,
screaming and hitting things.
Speaking of screaming and hitting, we've got your film pick recommendation, Twister.
Yes.
To discuss.
Oh
boy.
I'm interested. I'm so, dude. I always forget how much I love this film.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
I always forget.
So if you want to take this one.
Yeah, so this is a 1996 Twister, starring Helen Hunt as Dr. Joe Harding, Bill Paxton as Bill Harding, Carrie Ells as Dr. Jonas Miller, Jamie Gertz as Doctor. There's a lot of doctors in here. There's 3.
Medically approved movie.
Yeah. Oh no, the one. Yeah. I favorited Lois Smith accidentally.
Oh.
Who plays Aunt Meg? Didn't mean to do that.
Or did you?
And then Dirty Philip Seymour Hoffman as Dustin Davis.
Dusty.
So essentially, what Twister is it opens up with this family. There's a Twister going on, and this little girl sees her dad get swept away in the Twister, and obviously has an impact on her life. And then we smash cut into Bill Paxton and his fiance driving, and they talk about getting the divorce papers, and he goes, all right, I'll get it from Joe, don't worry, like hopefully she signed them. So you get in there and gets to see the old gang again. Everyone's always pumped to see Bill, and then he's got to get the papers from Joe, and they get to the last page, and all of a sudden it's like, we got touchdown, we got to go. So he's like, all right, like we'll follow you, we'll you'll sign it, we'll go. I can do one, I'll do one.
Yeah.
And it just turns on into Bill just getting more and more involved with the series of events.
Yep.
So a little backdrop on Twister for me. So like on the pod the last time with Sam, we talked about stories. This is another one. We saw Twister 8 times in theaters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we saw it. Now, Sam might not remember. I can't remember. It's either 7 or 8 because I can't remember if we saw it at the drive-in originally. But we saw it 3 times at the cinema, 3 times at the plaza, and twice at the harbor because we could walk to the harbor from my grandma's house.
Oh, nice.
No, because that was PG-13. I think my dad was fucking in love with this film. Like, took us there. I was like, all right, nothing's going on. We're going to go watch Twister. Because it's like $6 to go watch it at the matinee. So... that's kind of where the love comes from, and that's about it. So, Kyle,
sweet.
Let's opening thoughts.
So I kind of have a little bit of a history with this movie, a little bit, not as much as you.
Okay,
but this movie was a favorite of someone I used to date.
Really?
Yeah. So I've actually seen this movie
good taste in films
a few times, and at the time I really wasn't like too much into movies. I was like, yeah, we'll watch it. It's cool, tornadoes. And so, I enjoyed the spectacle of it and like, oh, it's kind of funny. Oh, look, cows. And watched it a few times. And I hadn't seen the movie for like probably 5 or 6 years until you recommended it. And I watched it last night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I will be honest. I was kind of struggling a little bit through it.
Really?
A little bit.
God damn it. This is why we are so different with films.
Yes.
So different.
But you get a good perspective on each of them.
Yes.
And this is to say that, this movie is, in my opinion, it's better than Speed 2. It's better than Congo. But I think just because I knew kind of what was going to happen a lot of the times and like what was going to take place, I really didn't get much from it.
See, that's where you got to go into the ancillary parts of the film, Kyle. The other aspect of the film. You don't watch the main story. You already know what's going on. You got to watch everything else.
I know. And I liked Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. He was fun. He was, a nice piece of levity in an otherwise, like, very serious disaster movie.
All of them have levity. Mm-hmm. Dude, they're all... we'll get into it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It kind of dragged a little bit for me. I obviously the special effects are a little dated. 1996 tornadoes and like the CGI trees and the vehicles flying everywhere. I don't know. It kind of got a little bit repetitive for me.
It does. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It's hard, but if you're only going off of like the disaster portion of it, yeah, I mean, like what else can a tornado do? So the first thing that I had was I watched this thing and immediately got giddy again watching it. And I laughed. I'm like, all right, how many films can be taken with the natural disaster and actually gain commercial success?
Right.
And I'm like, how many films are out there just on... I'm going to approach you with the premise of, I have a film about tornado chasers.
And they're like, get out.
Yeah, what else are you going to... Like, that's... Okay, so what are they doing? It's like 5 tornadoes in a day. They have to all this happens with. I think half of this is like I'll hit on a lot of what I love in a film too. All this happens within a day. Technically 24 hours from the first tornado touching down to the last tornado, right? Because they do sleep overnight. But if you go from when he meets up with Joe to when the last, that would be a 24-hour period. So, it's one of those things that to me, it kept me entertained, and I was laughing because, I guess we're in a different spot, but in the making of the film, Jan de Bont says, like, I thought Speed was one of my faster films made, and he's like, this goes faster while watching it than Speed. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I got into it, and it's a 2-hour film, and I think there's, like, probably about 35 minutes left, and I was like, what the fuck happened all the time? But...
yeah, I had the opposite experience.
That's what I'm saying. You can, if you do get wrapped up on the CGI and you do want like that, I really want a realistic tornado looking, it does. The CGI is dated.
Yeah. And
now,
I don't know. It was also too, like, I really couldn't attach myself to any of the characters really. Like, I don't know. I thought that everybody was pretty like dramatic a lot of the times. Like there's
I had the exact opposite.
There's that scene where like Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, he's like dragging her away from like the tornado because she's trying to like set off Dorothy or whatever, Dorothy 3 or whichever one they're on. And he's like, Joe, you got to stop living in the past and start looking at what's in front of you. Me, Joe. And it's like very dramatic. And I was like, okay.
That was shoehorned in there, kind of getting that love interest back. That I agree. I mean, but the team, none of those team members were fucking like dramatic to me.
Mm-hmm. I think
I think that team. I had to stop like while watching it. That is the most of a team that you would want to be a part of and hang out with.
And I think that's where like my favorite parts of the movie are like the sense of like the team and like the history they have.
Yeah.
Like when Bill shows up or his character's name is Bill in the movie too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When Bill shows up, everyone's like, Bill, like, welcome back. He's like, I'm not back. Like, I kind of like that.
Prodigal son returns.
Yeah. I enjoyed like that dynamic.
I'm not back.
I'm not back. Yeah. I really enjoyed like that kind of back and forth that they had and like him kind of slowly getting back into the group.
He does it the whole time.
Yeah. I enjoyed that part of it and like the team. And I liked the scenes before they got to the tornadoes where they're like driving towards it and they're like kind of having those moments of dialogue between each other. Like that I liked. I enjoyed those moments.
Like they're sitting in there. It's the one where they're driving and then they get into an argument, you know? I mean, and then he's swerving off the road because he's sitting there yelling at her.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a real time. Their relationship felt very authentic to me. Besides that speech. Like there were I guess maybe 1 or 2 times here or there where it was kind of like felt a little ushered just because of like, dude, you're about to get divorced and all of a sudden you're back in love. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, you take a lot of near-death experiences with someone. Maybe that opened up his eyes to who he cares for. I don't really know. Don't want to play into the motives, but like there's a lot of times their arguments are very like, hey, just sign the fucking papers. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's like, oh, hey, where's she at? Mm. Like, obviously, she doesn't want to let him go. It's the last time holding on to him, and he's, like, really there just to get out. And maybe he knows that if he spends too much time with her, something could happen.
Yeah.
So I thought, but from the team aspect, there's not one person in there that, even from the moments that they have of just a little bit of dialogue and the interaction, you get to pick up on all of the characters and how they would act outside of that environment, right? Not only that, there's no one in there that you're like, I hate that guy or I wish he had no dialogue. Mm-hmm. There isn't a complainer. They're all together. The best part is when they go, hey, Wakita's only like 40 minutes away. It's like, guys, we're not going. Mm-hmm. Food. Yeah. And they're all like, and then they go to Aunt Meg's and she's like, hey, everyone, like, come on in, you know?
She's like, Bill, I'm so glad you're back. Like, I think the first half of this movie I liked more than the second. I think the second half was just kind of where it lost me a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I liked the whole, like, competition aspect of it, too, with, like, the corporate storm chaser guys. Like,
which is so fucking dumb. Like, even then, that's what I'm saying about this film. There's a certain charm that it's like, they're doing it. They're in it for the money, not the science.
That line kind of made me roll my eyes. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I love that.
That's a little cliche.
It is, but it's at the same. It's the easiest. Like that's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's literally that's what they're going for. There's no other reason why those guys are in it besides the TikTok guys. There's coaches on Twitter that are like they're in it to gain network and notoriety and draw up plays and stuff, but that's why they're doing it. It's not to help the community. Mm-hmm. They don't care about the other, it's more about their reputation and ego getting. And then he goes up there and he, instead of like blindside punching him or anything cool, he just flips off his hat.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what the fuck move was that?
And then Carrie Ells, dude, they're so fucking nerdy. So Bill Paxton's the hardest one out of all of them, right? And all he does is flip off his hat and like hold him against the car, right?
Uh-huh.
And then so Carrie Ells is such a goddamn nerd. Instead of like kicking him or like punching him back, he literally just goes, "The days of sniffing the dirt are over." Like that's just cool. Like, and then they get in there and he's like, "Hey man, what's Bill's problem? Like, what's going on?" And it's like, you guys you did take our model from us. Like, we did come up with Dorothy. Don't act like, And then Jamie Gertz calling her out immediately, like, you're still in love with him, aren't you?
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, awkward. And then you can really see on her face, like, am I?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, there's enjoyable parts to this movie for sure. Like, I didn't have as bad of a time with it as, like, Speed 2. But
no,
it is interesting that I do kind of have some similar feelings about this movie as Speed 2 since it's directed by the same guy, Jan de Bont. And I kind of want to talk about like some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I was reading up about it before you came over, and there was some production issues to say the least. I guess Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt were like temporarily blinded because of some bright electric lamps that they were using for like the sky or whatever. Like
the contrast with what they had to get when they had to make it like a really bright, just because they were shooting on location, so they had to brighten up the cameras. But there was some I think cornea damage.
Oh yeah, that's what I was reading about. And then I guess de Bont got mad at like some assistant or something, like camera assistant, and he knocked him over, like pushed him in a fit of rage, and then just those like a bunch of crew members just fucking left.
He said he did it for there was some artistic reason why he hit the guy over. It was like he blamed it on the wind.
Okay.
It was a really so
sure.
I read up on that too. The guy botched one of the scenes or one of the shoots. And he got so pissed he pushed him down, which once again, James Cameron takes your phone and nails it to a fucking wall. All right, like what he pushes over a guy. Like I think your ego could handle it enough for the 6-year-old French director to push you down, But Jan de Bont came up and said it was one of those things where he was trying to show the importance of the scene and what was going on, that with his passion, he knocked him over. Yeah.
Interesting.
So Bill Paxton, did you read up on for the hail? For the hail scene, when they're going up there, up the road, he had to bring in. They wanted to make a snow machine, a hail machine.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't do it, so they had to bring in this ice. Well, the ice that they had to chop up and use to shoot wouldn't fit into the machine that they had. So they had these chunks of ice. So if you watch that scene, there are pieces of ice that are like, baseball size.
Yeah.
That Bill Paxton's like doing the thing with Dorothy. He was getting fucking hit with all that ice. And that's the thing that I was talking about earlier in the making of. He's like, it was great being out in the elements, but he was like, when you're getting hit with ice, like it still hurts.
Didn't Helen Hunt get like biffed from the car door when she like jumped out in the cornfield or whatever?
Yes, they had to. Not too much damage, but she did get hurt, and then so that they had to prop the door open on the second time that she did it.
Yeah, because it like closed on her.
Yeah, she jumped and the corn shut it back.
Oh Jesus!
And it hit her. So they had to have a wedge in there when she did it.
And then there was someone who was injured during the scene where they're rescuing Aunt Meg. Jack and Green was mistakenly activated with him inside. So like there was a moment in the movie where like the house kind of collapses in on itself.
Yep.
I guess he was inside when they activated it, and he got injured from it.
Help! Help!
Pretty much. Like he had to be hospitalized because of it. Like
It's a fucking house falling.
Like the I guess a rigged ceiling hit him in the head and the back.
Oh no!
So he had to go to the hospital because of it. Like DeBont took over as his own director of photography for the remaining shots. Yeah, it was his DP.
they got into some shit.
Yeah.
I did read up on that he had to take over because there was disputes on how they were going to film a couple of the things, and I think Jan DeBont did his own did his own cinematography and speed, so he was like comfortable doing it, I believe, or I don't remember what it was, but when he had to do some of those shots, he had to have someone else take over the camera.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit going on with the behind the scenes that I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Dude, I'm telling, like, the production value to me in this film is like outrageous. Like, so some of the scenes are natural, but that's all filmed on location, so you have to deal with the elements. They come up, I mean, a lot of the stuff, like that scene when they're going up the hill, they were throwing debris at Bill Paxton. They had a fire hose shooting out water while they're dropping this ice and shooting it out to make it look like hail. Like, that's all production, and like you'd never get taken out of that scene going like, this is all fake.
Yeah.
The town of Wakita that they used, that was a $30 million project that they set up that whole town. They did all the shoots and then they tore it all down.
Yeah.
And like, so you get a sense of that. The cinematography in this thing is fucking awesome. They did the scene where they're on the helicopter and they scoop the camera into the car, all in a tracking shot that he had to, I think what they did was they sped up the frame rates per second and had the car slow down. So that's why it looked like they were still going the same speed, but the frame rates were catching up to the cars as they were slowing down, I don't think he created that diner, but I mean, the truck. So the truck scene, where the truck explodes with the fuel.
Yeah,
that was a $7 million stunt that they fucked up, and Jan didn't tell the studio. He said that we got it on the first take, and so they reshot it.
Oh no,
because they missed it. So he goes, "Yeah, we're good." It's like, hurry up.
I love how it lands on the ground and just explodes instantly. Just
I mean, and then dude driving the truck through the house. I can't, dude. This fucking film with because it's all on location too. So there's like really the only CGI you have are some of the things getting swooped up into the tornado, and even the tornadoes themselves trying to craft it. They had to do I think they said they did two weeks worth of research trying to figure out how to make these things look as most authentic as you possibly could.
Yeah, I liked the destruction aspect of it, like the town of Wakita when they're driving through it and they see all the disaster.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that. Like the atmosphere that it brought. Like you get the sense of like dour, like hopelessness. I enjoyed that part. Just and even during some of the tornado scenes, like a lot of the special effects took me out of it, but some of the practical stuff that they used, I was impressed by. Like the buildings being torn apart and all the debris everywhere. I enjoyed that.
If you could take, I would say this, this is how I hold the merit of good films is if you take a 1993 movie that has some bad CGI, it's could you take that film, take the whole film and just resubstitute it with the new CGI?
I would be really curious. I think that would be a good idea. You
know what I'm saying though? But if you could do that, the merit of the film would actually go up only because it was bad CGI. There are films that it's no, that wasn't just because of the CGI. That was just a shit film. The only thing taking you out of 1996 Twister, which is 26 years removed from where we're at now, is the fact that the tornadoes and then some of the car stuff is other than that, it is, I don't know. I like I said, I am biased. But this has every good aspect of a good film to me, because I mean the team, that's great, all the ancillary characters are awesome. Roll the maps, don't fold the maps, because back in the day, if you had maps, if they got creases in it, they were unusable.
Yeah, it would fuck up the measurements and whatnot. Probably.
So he's just pulls him up. He's like, roll the maps.
Roll the maps.
And then, Dusty. How about like, dude, when they first get there, he's like, go talk to Dusty. Why don't you hang out with Dusty? And then they go talk. He's like, well, where's she at? And he's like, I left her with Dusty. She's like, you left her with Dusty?
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then it shows them. He's like, it's called the Suck Zone.
The Suck Zone. Yeah. I really liked Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was probably my favorite part of the movie.
So the interesting one with this is, and I read two things on it. There was him and Carrie Ells had more scenes that they had to take away from because on post editing, there was more of the story was around the fight between Bill Paxton and Carrie Ells, and I don't know if the producers or the production house was like, we want less of that, or Jan Devat was like, this doesn't make sense. They had to take out a lot of their scenes. So I was like, oh shit, like they had to have wrote a lot for Philip Seymour Hoffman, Dirty Philip Seymour Hoffman. But
rest in peace.
Yeah, well, seriously, dude. I mean, he's a like that dude is an actor.
Oh yeah.
So, but I was gonna say the other thing in this was I heard that he had such a small role written for him, but because of what he did on set, they took more of what they filmed with him in it.
Yeah.
So he had more of like like Dusty's the fifth build in this thing, and I don't know if it's just because they're like, he's going to be the most... Well, I should say fifth build because I don't know what it was on the title card. But on IMDb, he is.
He's the fifth build on Wikipedia.
Is he? Mm-hmm. Okay, but they might pull that from IMDb. Because
I think so.
Like in 1996, like I know Hard 8 came out. And like I don't know what else he was in before Hard 8 that you would have had a lot of notoriety from.
Yeah.
Like Carrie, well, I shouldn't say that because actually, and then Jan Devat didn't want to have any big name actors in this outside of who they. So Helen Hunt was a TV star at the time. She hadn't done. I don't think she had. This might have been her first feature film, or she might have one under her belt. And Jan was like, "I want Helen Hunt. She fits the role of commanding a room and having the leadership that we want." Because the other aspect of this team is that you're doing one of the most dangerous things in the world, and you need to have a fearless leader.
Yeah,
and both her and Bill and this thing are that to the group.
Yeah.
Like you're literally following these people to death. And imagine how much you have to have command over the room to instill that, passion and we will do this and I will take care of you, to have those people trust you like that.
I read that I guess Tom Hanks was going to play the character of Bill, but then Tom Hanks had to turn it down because he was doing another movie. So then he recommended his Apollo 13 co-star, which was Bill Paxton. And I think that was the right decision. I think Bill Paxton's... Like, none of the acting, really, I had an issue with in the movie.
Right.
It was really just the characters that I couldn't connect with, like, and the repetitive pacing of it that I had the biggest issue with. Like, I really couldn't get into it. But, I don't know, the acting I thought was decent. I liked Bill Paxton. I think that... When I think of Twister... I think of Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. Like, those are the two that come into my mind.
Right.
Maybe Philly C, but...
Oh, Dusty's...
Those two specifically, like, they make the movie.
Yeah. No, I see that's... But I guess I've seen it more, and it gives me a chance to watch more of all the other things going on. Like, even the weird dude that was with the guy... I can't think of the guy's name. He was in Speed.
Oh, Ferris Bueller guy?
Yeah.
I'll look up his name.
The weird guy that was with him, I was like, I wonder how much screen time he was supposed... Like, when they did the... couldn't happen to notice how far Wakita is from here. And then they do the food thing. The guy, like, looks at, like, Philip Seymour's hand, and he can kind of see it going on, and he's waiting to see what he's going to do. So and it's how you would operate in a group of people, though. Like, it's so genuine. It's not marked or set that way. You know? So that way, like, everything that happens seems genuine. Even when they're talking about... Dude, they start talking about the fucking... They're in Meg's place, and then they start talking about Bill, and they have the story about Bill. There was an evil Bill, there was another Bill, an evil Bill, and I killed him. He was without a pair of drawers, naked, not naked. And then they have the weird guy that has, like, the preacher. I think they called him Preacher.
Yeah.
She goes, there's, like, you got an F2, F3, F4, and then they stop, and then Jamie Gerst is like, well, is there an F5? And then, like, they show Preacher, he's like, the finger of God. Like, just small things like that. They all know what's going on. They all have their own conversations. They know where they fit in the group,
Yeah. I'll have to, eventually I think I'm going to check this out again, see how I feel, because I do want to give it another shot. I think that if I watched it again, maybe with like a different mindset, I'd be a little more open to the characters and like, be a little more involved with like what's going on with them. But
that's what I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you watch this thing and you're in it for the tornadoes and just like what's happening, there isn't much of a story. And it is going to be repetitive. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, you're watching Storm Chasers. Like, go throw on the weather. Like, I couldn't do that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no fucking way I'm watching Storm Chasers for 2 hours. But when you kind of get into like the nerdiness of it and what's going on, and then the relationship between Bill and Joe, and then the fact that he's got his fiance with him, and the fact that they've only been divorced for a year, and now he's got a fiance and it's only been a year. So how long were they together before Joe was there? Does Joe still love Bill? The whole group's riding behind Bill. Honestly, that film to me, why it's funny too, is if Bill takes off and does have the marriage papers, they still can shoot that thing without him in it. It's just a different dichotomy between the group and Carrie Ells now. No one's going to really call him out except maybe Joe, and she's just going to have some passive-aggressive remarks, but you could still film the whole thing and have it, you know what I'm saying? So you got to find a little bit of the niche aspects of it, and between the production and the cinematography. Like, dude, you're raining down the houses.
Yeah.
You're driving through houses. When I was a kid, I thought it was just hailing and, rain. It wasn't, honestly, until I watched the making of that, even had the thought of like, oh shit, they had to do that. So but I don't knock people when they, because I would say it's like me with RRR. I don't know if I'll ever get past the goofiness of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you might not be able to get past it is repetitive, and, some of the characters, they're all right. Because at the end of the day, who really wants to watch the guy operating the computer and the storm chasing unit?
Right.
Like, could care less.
Yeah, I'd be curious on a rewatch how I feel. What do you think, real quick before we wrap up, my dying voice, I guess they're making a sequel?
No.
They're just
nope,
no?
That's what I think. No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you could do it in today's day and age. And I mean, here's the thing. Okay, and you're kind of the perfect, like, what you talked about. It's hard to just watch 2 hours of chasing tornadoes, and that's from 1996 aspect. I don't think newer CGI does this. It makes it look better, but what you had with the production and with the characters and the storytelling, and what you got out of on the location, like, that is what makes it special. So the CGI, if you could enhance those things, would make this even better. You're not going to be able to get that in today's audience. It'll all be fucking CGI. Everything's that truck scene when they're filming the truck going in, they would take two machines, they'd have the actor sitting in a truck, and they would go like that in a CGI thing and move the truck for them. While they have neck braces and they have the stunt driver. Like, it'd just be shit. Yeah, half the reason Jan de Bont probably pushed that guy is because that's how films used to be with those old school directors. You went on set, you were in the shit, and you weren't taking gruff from anyone. Yeah. And the charm comes onto the film, at least for me, because that's what I get from it too. Is very like. That's not really guerrilla style. I mean, this is like a fucking $150 million film, but you definitely get the sense that like people are getting edgy. This isn't Avengers Endgame where it's just you're sitting on a CGI mound and everyone's like, all right, that's it. You get your 2 minutes in. Why don't you guys go break? We got to get this in post and fucking add in all the stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's being directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who the only thing I know that he's directed is Minari, which I do want to check out. Like, I've heard that's good, but it's a weird choice because Minari was like a indie, like A24, kind of like follow this family as their.
Was it A24?
I think so. Whereas this is like a sequel to like a really kind of not. What's the word I'm looking for? Fucking cult classic, like kind of, big budget type thing. But
if A24 I would be, so the way I would see it, I could see it working if you took a grittier aspect to it. Could you imagine Bill Paxton and Carrie Ells, like if they had a deeper rivalry, and instead of focusing on the storm chasing aspect of it, it was more about them and their like struggle with ego, trying to, you know, one's representing the community, the other one's representing, you know, capitalism, and then that fucking contrast. Because I bet you at the end of the film, when that thing goes through it, Bill Paxton isn't like, oh no, it's like, burn, bitch, burn. You know, like if there was a grittier and edgy aspect to this with like the not necessarily the storm chasing, but the, you know, the rivalry
The
between
relationships.
well, there's the rivalry between Cary Ells and Bill Paxton. Like if they got that onto the next level, and it was like, you know, you get 3 twisters in here, but it's not really, we don't need to see the twisters as an audience. That isn't what we care about. That's just kind of what we're using as a medium to get these guys together. You know, whereas this one was all that whole aspect was chasing the tornadoes. You know, I'd be down for that, but I doubt it. It sounds like this will just be another fucking CGI, you know,
Probably.
fucking awful mess that goes straight to DVD. They don't exist to me. Huh? Oh yeah.
So can we can probably wrap this up, get into ratings.
Yes.
What would you rate
No,
this?
no. You go first. I went first on RRR.
Okay. This is a 4 out of 10
What?
for me.
4 out of 10?
Yeah.
Oh, Kyle.
I kind of struggled through it a little bit, not going to lie. But, you know, on a rewatch, who knows how I'll feel. So
I also think, too, that we're different generationally.
I think so.
I think that's where it kind of, some of it comes into play. That, and probably because, I mean, I know this film so well watching it. To me, this is a 10 out of 10. This is so the reason why I gave it, and it's not like entertainment like Speed and Congo where it's just nostalgic. This film to me hits everything that I love in a film. A team working together with a leader and different people pulling different weights, right? All happens within a day, on location, production designs, production's there. Like this whole thing when you're watching it, even when they go through Wakita, they build up and tore down that town. You don't know, you're probably thinking that's a small town. You know, I think the only thing that this thing misses on for me from watching it was the CGI, and I'm like, whatever. I mean, there's CGI in the 80s that fucking, like, what was the movie we watched with the transgender chick? Like, that was CGI.
Oh,
that was
Sleepaway Camp?
Terrible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you need CGI to elevate a film to me, then you're probably watching the wrong film. You know? So, or the wrong films being made. But with this one, I'm like, those tornadoes were good enough to me. And even the last one with the F5, there's so much else going on around with it, all the cloud. I mean, just watching it, it's like that looks fine. There was only a couple like that I was like, you know, but this whole thing, and the relationships that in it, and like there's no one that's even like, if they were, when they're on screen, you're like, oh, Jamie Gertz is probably it. You know, even she's like not bad in this thing. I mean, at the very end when she's like, no, if you're good, I can find my way home. I'll be all right. You know. So, anyways, but yeah, this is to me like truly like a great film. Like I think that this thing, and the fact that you take such a simple topic, and like Steven Spielberg, he's like, Bill Paxton goes, I've never met Steven Spielberg, and he's like, he walked up to me and just shook my hand and said, thanks for making me a lot of money, because he was an executive producer on this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of, it's wild. So
yeah, well, cool.
Yeah.
There are movies I can acknowledge that aren't great from my childhood, but that I love, and that I'd probably give a high rating. So there'd be some that I think I would be in the same boat as you. Like, I'd be curious how I feel about Holes. Like, Holes was like a huge...
bringing up Holes.
I know. Well, it was like a big childhood movie for me, and so I don't know. I'd be curious on a rewatch as to like how I feel. But I'd still probably love it. But you know, it's very much like could be one of those movies that's like, oh, it's not great, but you know. We'll
that's where the difference is. It's funny because you're actually like, this is like when I listen to the Film Vault, when they would go over films and I want more information. They go for the viewers that haven't seen these films, like we don't talk about it. It's actually funny because now it's like we're talking about it. So like you're that viewer, you know? Not with every film, but like you don't have your like, because it would have probably been like the 2000s for you, like the mid to late 2000s probably would have been like my 90s.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? Like I would say probably like 03 to 08 would be like for me like mine's like really like 96, 97 through 2002.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of bad films in there that I just have like I hold near and dear.
Yeah. And like I don't even know if I'd call it a bad fit, because I mean I didn't give it as low of a rating, but I mean just based on like my personal enjoyment, I think it was just a big factor in like how I rated it. Just because like I don't even know if I'd necessarily call it like a bad movie. It's just one that I really couldn't get into.
No,
like
I'm not gonna lie, it does. I mean, there are things in there that it slowed down for me. It's funny because after the Aunt Meg scene, really the fourth tornado, when they're onto that, they leave Meg's and then they go up there and then Dorothy crashes and then it's like Jamie Gertz is listening and then they go back. But then it picks right back up for me. I mean, really, it's like once the Twister hits that screen and they're back to Wakita and then it's onto the F5. It feels, I don't know. I guess, actually, you know what it probably is? Once Bill said I love you to her, it's probably like when some of that heat and tension dies off.
Yeah.
Because then it really just goes into getting Dorothy in the air. And then like you really got to be like, all right, I want to see Dorothy fly. And I don't think anyone was in that boat.
No,
not to say
I don't think I was either.
Not to say they didn't want to see it, but it wasn't like I'm watching this film to see that happen.
Right. You get it.
Unless they're storm chasers. Oh, dude,
if I was a storm chaser, whoo, boy.
Put this at the end of the thing too,
My panties would be sodden.
Or I don't know how you got. They did when Bill Paxton died, they did a GPS salute for him. Which
that's really cool.
They did all the storm chasers. They've only done it for like 2 other people, and he was the first notorious or
he's like the non like meteorologist,
right?
Like he's not in that community really. He's just was a storm chaser in a movie.
Yeah, but they all did like they spelled out BP on the GPS coordinates.
That's cool and wholesome.
Yes. So that was also this. Yes.
5 out of 10. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. 4 out of 10. But I can't, man. That is so wild. I can't believe 4 out of 10. But whatever.
Well,
whatever.
And also to be fair.
Yes.
Your 3 out of 10s are kind of like my 1 out of 10s, I feel like. Because you told me yourself that you don't normally go lower than a 3 when you watch a movie that you don't like.
True. So, I mean, a 4 out of 10 for you is probably like a 6 out of 10 for me.
Probably,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I would teeter probably on like the 6, maybe a 7 with a 4 for you. So I'm like, that's still for this film, which isn't bad though. I mean, I could see this living in a 6 out of 10 world in my realm. There's probably some other universe. Max saw this and was saying the same thing. Watched it again, repetitive, didn't care. So
there's another universe where Mac is bald and has a mustache.
Oh my God, my thick long.
Kyle is a football coach.
Oh. That would be wild.
That would be a
fucking.
All right, guys. We're gonna play some offense here. It's like you're the offensive coordinator. We are playing offense. It's like
No, he would be just going through like doing. If he was like me, his eyes would roll back and he'd just start screaming things that no one knows what he's talking about, and then a lot of people just nodding. But like, good luck getting that onto paper.
Who's the guy on the sideline screaming about Bill Paxton?
What, dude? Carrie Ells has a line when he's talking about the fucking it wasn't Dorothy. Theirs was, I had to laugh because it wasn't Dorothy, it wasn't Toto. I don't know what they named their device, but then the cube, the things within it, instead of being like
rounded, they're cubes.
They're cubed, and instead of like opening up like what do you call it, like a 4, like 3 or 4 triangles, to open up. It was like a 2, like a rectangle or an oval.
Yeah, like a circular like cylinder thing.
Everything
almost
was the exact opposite. So it really looked like he's like, I love that idea. We just have to make it not look like it was theirs.
Hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but change a few things so it doesn't look like you copied.
Yeah, and then all it is like 1 or 2 sentences. Like everything's like you like read it over. You're like, you change this, like you put a comma in here. It's like, yeah, like it breaks up the sentence.
Yeah,
it's like it's still the fucking sentence.
It's still the sentence. This is still the same goddamn paper.
I was dying laughing. So the days of sniffing the dirt are over. Yeah. Oh, I love that film too much.
I don't know about too much. I love that you hold it near and dear to your heart. And speaking of heart,
yes,
people I think gave all from their heart when they asked these questions.
Let's go.
All right. Our first question comes from Megan. In your opinion, what makes a movie Oscar worthy versus Oscar baity? I think that, to me personally, a movie is Oscar worthy if it meets the intention of the filmmaker and it does a good job of meeting those intentions. So like something like Banshees of Inisherin.
I was just about to say that.
That movie, I think, hits all the marks that it needs to and is nominated for Best Picture, and I think is deserving of it. I think that it meets all those credentials and is just a good film overall, whereas something like Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, it kind of tried to manipulate the audience into pulling on their heartstrings into thinking, look at this kid. He's got autism. He's very he misses his dad. His dad died in 9/11. Aren't you sad for him? But then all the other aspects of the filmmaking don't meet those same standards.
Right.
Sure, it can be emotional, I guess, if you like the character, but most people watch that movie don't like the character, and they're just trying to manipulate you into liking him. So, to me, I think that's where the difference lies. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm more Oscar worthy to me is if I can get lost in that world, wherever that universe might take place in,
Mm-hmm.
And then Oscar baity is melodramatic, production over the top. Like Elvis seems Oscar baity to me.
Okay.
And I know Boz has that kind of panache, if you will.
That that frenetic style.
Yeah, and yes. So, but there are movies that get made where it feel like Moonlight. And Moonlight's a good movie, but Moonlight got when it felt like it was kind of made with the Oscars in mind.
I agree.
There are times when you watch a film and it takes itself a little too seriously. That's why I'm really happy Everything Everywhere All at Once got nominated, because it was something that, like you said, because I do agree with what you're saying about the style and the way it's written with the directors and the direction that it's taken, and then the film fitting around that vision. Everything Everywhere All at Once is very doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same token, they had a goal in mind and what they wanted to achieve and get across, and they were going to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I feel like that's a great, movie should be rewarded for that. Top Gun, when you said it, Top Gun popped in my head. I was like, I bet you that the director, everything he sought out to do happened.
Yeah.
And that's why that got nominated. Conversely, and maybe James Cameron, it's whatever, but none of his flair besides that shit comes across.
The visuals,
yeah.
Well, he just wanted to make a visual movie, and then it just felt like the story was just an afterthought.
I really wish a story would come out as James Cameron smokes a lot of weed and just wanted to
yeah.
He enjoys getting baked and watching some of his films.
Look at these sexy blue aliens.
It's just I just want to watch some fucking fish, swim in the water. And that's why he made it. Then I would be that's awesome. All right, I'm down with it, But
yeah,
that's because I'm with you. I mean, extremely loud and incredibly close. I mean, there's times where it comes off that they're
and like you said with Moonfall too, there are movies that are kind of Oscar baity, but they're also good movies.
Mm-hmm.
So
Moonfall
or not Moonfall, Moonlight.
What the fuck are you? I never said that shit. No one quote him. I never said that.
I'm gonna isolate that audio and I'm just gonna post it on the channel with no context.
Yes, with Moonlight.
Moonlight. I'm sorry. We were talking about fucking disaster movies earlier, so bleh. Freudian slip, I guess, but just terrible. But no, there are movies that are like Moonlight that are good movies, but just happen to be kind of Oscar baity. It just happens that the rest of the filmmaking aspects of Moonlight are good.
Yeah, and it doesn't that one, and that's what I'm saying. There's other ones like Tar. I'm hoping Tar is good.
Yeah, me too.
I'm trying to think, but that Women Talking, I think those kind of come into mind. The
that
portrait
seems a little Oscar baity.
Yeah, do you remember the portrait of a woman burning?
Oh, Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Yeah. That one, I was shocked. I don't think that got nominated. And it's I was almost shocked that it didn't. I don't know. There's times where you just that between the production, the sound, and maybe a simple story that you got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I'm like, I don't really.
Yeah.
If it's a simple story, make it entertaining.
Right. Our next question comes from Michael. If you had to build a team of 5, including you and your friends, to rob a casino, who would you choose and why? I propose that we kind of spin this question a little bit, since if we list off our friends in our personal lives, not many people are going to know who we're talking about.
Yeah, and then, we're also saying that they're good at heists.
Yeah. So let's say...
Might not go well. I don't know.
Let's kind of flip it to say, like, actors or actresses. Like, which 4 would I pick? Which 4 would you pick?
Oh, okay. So, hold on. So, we're in it. So, we have to have a getaway driver. Mm-hmm. We have to have the con man. And then do we have 2 that are... Or is this like Heat where we're all going in there, there's 1 leader and 3 of us are running security? Actually, why don't you get into your whole strategy? You do what you're going to do, and then I'll do my strategy.
So
how would you rob a bank?
I would need... So I feel like I would need someone good with guns. So I would pick Keanu Reeves. Since he's got gun training, like he's got proper training for John Wick.
So you're going like people in real life pulling them, not like the character
not
John Wick.
I'm talking actors.
Okay.
And if I need additional muscle, like just pure brute strength, I'd probably pick Dave Bautista. I feel like he would be down for some beaten ass for robbing a bank. And plus, he's got experience with filming that fucking shitty Zack Snyder Army of the Dead or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like that's a heist movie, I think. And then you've got, I would probably want someone sneaky so that if like the strength avenues didn't work out, I could go for like kind of like covert operations in a way. And I don't know, I feel like someone like Ralph Fiennes could be like a sneaky boy, little sneaky baby. So I think he would do a good job. And then I would need one more getaway driver, Ryan Gosling, driver.
Sure.
So.
Okay, so let's say there's 6, right? Are we doing... I'm trying to do the math right now. No.
So I picked 4, and then there's me. So that's 5.
What's your role in the whole thing? Do we have to have the role?
I'd be the mastermind. I'd be like the Kevin Spacey from Baby Driver.
Right. Right.
I'd just be coordinating everything.
Oh, okay.
And I'd be on the radio, guys, talk to me. What's going on? Like,
right.
Rock, you go here. Keanu, you go behind the desk.
Yep.
Like, Ralph Fiennes, what are you doing in the vents? Like, what's going on there? Talk to me, baby. Like, there's all that stuff. So, yeah. I don't know. I'd say I'd got a solid lineup.
Okay. All right. So, I'm going to go the tactical route. Okay. There's going to be 6 of us. I am like Simon Pegg in Mission Impossible. All right.
Okay.
Obviously, that probably doesn't coordinate with my skill set now, but who's to say if I'm developing a plan for a heist and you give me 2 years and all I do is skillfully study blueprints and maps and learn, how to hack
the
stuff.
Pre-planning aspects of it.
Yes, I would pay someone to hack it and just, I'd raise enough money to have the computer system there. Then I'd pay people to do the hacking and set it up so I could just watch.
Yeah.
But I know the guards, like their times, their shifts, that they're going through like a divorce or like that they poop every day at 8:50 a.m. Okay, then I'm going tactical, right? So I do have a getaway driver that I'm trying to think of, but right now the first 3 that come to mind are I'm going to have 2 gunmen and a lead gunman. The 2 gunmen are Eric Bana and William Fichtner from Black Hawk Down, Delta Special Forces.
Nice.
Obviously know how to deal with setting up a perimeter, understanding exits and avenues, and also being able to be led by a leader. And that leader is going to be Tom Cruise from Collateral. I think that he would be better off if he had 2 guys underneath him directing them on where to go, as opposed to being the guy having to listen to what's going on. Then the con man, so the guy that does the sweet talking, all right, that goes in, that knows what's going on, is I'm going to go with De Niro from Heat. Like, and I know that's a heist movie, and I probably shouldn't pull it from that, but the only ones that come up are like De Niro or Al Pacino fucks it up in A Dog Day Afternoon, and then you got George Clooney, who I think would be really good in that role. But he's also in another heist film.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of like a sweet talking guy that can go in there and tell everyone it's going to be all right. This is exactly what you're going to do. Like De Niro seems like he's very to the point.
Bob Odenkirk, maybe?
too much fun, too goofy.
Okay.
I think he could, but I don't think he could hold the room. Like
Gotcha.
if Eric Bana gets a quick trigger on something, De Niro's walking up and hitting you. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe De Niro from Casino you pull up, but I don't remember if he's got that, the balls that he did in Heat. But that's who I'd be using. I mean, to lead a team of 4 like that in a tactical event, like you got to have someone that's in the shit, that's ready to, maybe from Platoon.
Willem Dafoe?
No, the other one that played, he was in Major League. Why can't I think of his name?
Charlie Sheen?
No,
I'm not sure.
no. And then so you went with Drive though for your getaway driver, right?
Yes.
So am I not? I'll go. Oh my god. Actually, I'm gonna go with Steve McQueen and Bullet.
There you go.
And I don't know if he's all that good.
If he's all that cracked up to be.
Well, Drive. You went with Drive, so I don't want to pull on that. Tom Berenger. Tom Berenger would maybe be another. I think. Actually, I'm going to go with Tom Berenger on this because he led a unit in Vietnam, and it feels like if someone gets something that he could go over there and shut the fuck up, But then if you get the getaway driver, the guy's obviously got to be good in a tight situation. I'm also thinking Baby Driver.
I was thinking Baby Driver.
I haven't seen that film to see how good he is at operating the wheel.
Possible future recommendation.
Possibly. So yeah, and then like I said, I'm the mastermind behind it all, kind of like you, off the scene. You didn't name the car, so I'm going to name my car. We're obviously we're gonna use a SUV. All right, something that seats 5, tight fit, maybe something with the latch in the back where it's got to be easy access doors in and out. You don't want to go with the van, but you're also afraid of rolling an SUV, so it's got to be compact, low to the ground.
Yeah, nice. I think we adequately answered that. Our next question comes from Sam. What do you feel is the most miscast movie? Examples: Entrapment, John Wayne, Genghis Khan movie, and The Blind Side, etc. Miscast movies.
Well, I don't know.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So Elvis, I think it would have been a lot better if they got John Goodman instead of Tom Hanks as that character. That would have made the movie so much better.
German
for me.
guy,
yeah,
that took advantage of Elvis.
Yeah, because they had Tom Hanks in that whole prosthetic makeup. They had him in that whole getup with that accent. It was so fucking goofy that I couldn't take him seriously. And someone like John Goodman, who has a presence and has like a voice to like kind of be a villain role, I think he would have done a much better job.
Yes.
So that's my top pick. Another example, which we've talked about before on the show with Sam, is the guy from War of the Worlds, Tim Robbins.
Oh,
character.
Interesting. Yeah.
How I think it would have been a lot better if Willem Dafoe was that character and not Tim Robbins. So
that's a pretty good one. I mean, I think
I'm gonna look through my list.
My ultimate one is I don't know. It's always Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side.
Yeah.
I mean but that movie should have never been made.
I actually haven't seen it all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces.
Yep.
The only scene I've watched is her going into like the gang area.
Sure.
And
the
guy from Walking Dead, the black guy, is like, "Yo, what up?" or whatever. It's like a very kind of caricature-y scene.
It's a very Disney look at a white woman walking into a black neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't think. Now, granted, I don't want to say that's not happening. But yeah, I don't think it goes down as smoothly as that. If anything, I feel like there's a lot more. And depending on the gang members, I don't know what their rap sheet is.
Yeah.
So
there's that movie 13 Hours with John Krasinski.
He wasn't bad.
He wasn't bad, but I mean, I don't know. I couldn't help but just see Jim the whole time while watching that movie.
It's you're pigeonholing him though.
True. Yeah. That's just my personal viewpoint.
There are times when guys get into action roles that shouldn't be in like an action role. I'm running. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to look and see if there's any other ones that stick out to me.
There are sometimes I think you're watching a film, you're like, oh, this guy would have been a lot better than that one.
Right.
And
yeah, I don't know. Tom Hanks and Elvis was the biggest one to me, I think, in most recent memory.
Yes. Well, anytime Tom Hanks doing like an accent.
Yeah. Tom Hanks, I think, just, I don't know, as a villain character, I feel like is just weird.
You're watching your dad on TV.
Right.
Like that's
Exactly.
he's everyone's dad.
Uh-huh. I don't know about being miscast, but fucking Jason Lee as Dave from the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies is like kind of whacked out.
Who are you putting in that role?
Who
you putting in that role? If you go miscast, you do have to counter with like the person that you would have played there.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, man. I would say, well, okay, so here's an interesting idea. They had Zachary Levi in the second movie basically as a placeholder for Jason Lee because he was doing My Name is Earl at the time.
Yeah.
I feel like Zachary Levi would have been like, I don't know, more appropriate than Jason Lee, I guess. I don't know. I've just been watching those movies and they're fucking shit, dude. They're so bad.
The Alvin and the
Yeah. We watched the third one.
You're doing it to yourself.
You're
doing it to yourself.
I am. I'm getting like some enjoyment out of it just by how awful they are. But man, they're just not good. There's no good quality about them. How about John Travolta and The Fanatic? Was that really a casting thing, or was that just a whole like this movie is just awful thing?
Awful thing. Because like I'm trying to go through and see like, all right, like what movies do I have that I'm like, man, that would have been a lot better had the but most of them are always like, oh, if the film was better, that would have just been a better movie. Like I think you'd have to kind of go into like, I think I'm gonna say it. You have to go into your mid-tier movies and look at that because those are probably the ones that get elevated if there's a different actor taking over.
Yes.
I
agree. I think if there's like a bad casting choice, then it kind of brings a lot of the movie down with it. Yes. So then the whole movie is off, and then you've got issues with like the story and the dialogue and just how the movie is as a whole.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm rolling through here, and I'm just looking at this stuff, and it's like, wow.
Ooh, I got a good one.
What?
Okay, so this movie is just awful all around. But Dear Evan Hansen, they got like some 30-year-old to play a fucking high schooler.
Yeah, that was also running through that in my head. I was trying to like remember the Titans. Like I'm pretty sure all those guys are in their 30s playing high school football.
Right.
But I mean, it's a good,
It still wouldn't have been a good movie, but at least I would have believed that it was a high schooler because he like forms a relationship with someone who actually looks like they're a high schooler, and it's fucking weird. Like it's creepy.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
It's like Caitlin Dever. It's like the girl from Last Man Standing.
Oh yeah,
and Booksmart. Yeah. So, was there any other ones that you had that come to mind?
No, I didn't. I'm rolling through these things, and I'm like, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Our next question comes from Justin. Do either of you have any resolutions or goals for the upcoming year, either personally or for the podcast specifically? I was thinking about this the other day. I do want to get back to making more Neon Crew clips. Now that I'm done with my Polar review, I think I'm going to try to jump back into that a little bit more. Just kind of get some more fun, shorter content out there. And also just for me personally, I guess as far as like movies go, I'm still doing my 2 movies a week that I haven't seen before goal. Still trying to keep up with that. And also just on a personal level, I'm usually someone who... sometimes I have an issue with like if someone says something to me and I think that they're mad at me or like not happy with me in any way, I kind of internalize it. It's something that kind of sticks with me and lingers with me until I see that person again and like there's no issue at all. Like that's something I think that I'm working better on and that I'm getting better with, but it's still something that I have to acknowledge when it happens. Like, okay, I shouldn't internalize this. I shouldn't take it personally. It's just something that, is making me feel weird in the moment, but then, eventually it'll just subside and everything will be cool again. Like it, just stuff like that. Just like on an emotional, personal level, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What about you, McClain, Milkman, Parker?
Movie, I mean, obviously just, making sure, keeping up with the movies, what's coming out, trying to stay up to date. And like goal-wise with the movies, I don't know. I mean, pretty much just making sure that we, maybe at some point it could be content something more coming out. I'm trying to think. At least with that, it really is just consistency, staying up. That's a good goal to have. I do want to. I think I might have to get to at least maybe one movie a week I haven't seen. Mm-hmm. It's a very odd, not odd, but tough. I don't know. The time, dude. Time sucks.
It's hard to find the time for.
I used to give you shit about it. I was like, man, how do you not how can you not watch this film? And then I just get to it and it's just like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. And next thing you know, it's like, fuck, man, just you got to do this. You know?
A part of me wishes that when I was in high school or even younger that I was just more open to watching different movies because I used to watch just a lot of the same stuff over and over again. And so I never got to experience a lot of what you got to experience when you were younger. It's just being introduced to all these new things and oh, that's cool. I really like that. And, it stays with you and then you get to watch it more and more. And so now I'm just trying to catch up with that and at the same time live with adult responsibilities. So finding the time is not easy.
No.
So I know what you're talking about.
It's been weird too because I used to have a lot of time and now all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I've been trying to watch the Banshees of Inisherin and I'm like, I gotta find a. So I know it's not happening today, but this week it's gonna happen. Then we're gonna have the film recommendations. No, and then outside of that, personally, no. My goals right now are it's a new diet, so clean eating, and then working out. So I've been getting up at in between 4:45 and 5:30 every morning.
Okay.
For about the last week and a half, and going and working out. So that's about it. I gotta get my body back in shape to be prepare myself for the long run. Because at some point, you're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
So.
It gets harder as you get older.
Oh, dude. You're telling me. At least the waking up part isn't that bad. I'm in bed at 9. That's half the thing, too. With if you're going to watch a movie, it's got to go on at 7.
Right. Otherwise, you just miss the window.
Exactly. So, you're talking, you get home at 5:30 from work. That's a hour and a half to decompress, to get dinner going, and then to be all right, we got to get this movie on, and then it's at 9 laying in bed. So anyways, my boring life, that's it. But we will make sure that we do get movies out to you guys.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that was good. That was a good answer. Our last question comes from Wes. What are 3 movies that you would like to see Disney remake into a live-action version of the animation?
Wow. Does it have to be Disney? I think that's
none of them.
He asked for a reason. It's a tough one though because it's a finite list.
Yeah,
and they've already done. I'm not a big fan of the live action stuff. I don't know.
No, me neither. I think the live action stuff is mostly live action because it was from the 2D cartoons. You're not going to see any live action of a Pixar movie or anything.
That one would be too hard.
Yeah.
Disney does have the first one that comes off to mind is Cinderella. To actually see a Cinderella pull from that type, if you could have that production setup, dude, you could film Cinderella in Disney World.
Yeah. They probably could have made a good Mulan movie. But I heard that it's not, so
yeah,
I don't know what. Maybe The Hunchback of Notre Dame. There's a lot of I don't know. There's a lot of things that they could do, but that if they remade it, they would just. I don't know. It wouldn't be a reason to do it.
I'll say this: if you could suspend your disbelief and make that into a film, that's it. Because The Lion King, The Beauty and the Beast, the Mulan, Aladdin, they took it and literally just copy and pasted it in live action. Do it in a way that you can suspend your disbelief and take some creative liberties from the original.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking RRR. If someone was this is a 2D cartoon, I'd be that is what I would think of from a 2D cartoon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Give it a reason to exist.
Right.
Because the only reason that The Lion King exists, the new one, is because Jon Favreau wanted to make it realistic, and he's I just want to see what I can do with the technology. And so now we have this like worse version of a story that people already like. Like,
right.
It's just the same movie, but just, updated graphics.
That's what I'm saying. If you take it and do the live action, like suspend disbelief, make it fun, and make like a more of like picking up like I'm gonna keep going off of picking up some folklore, and putting it into your own kind of way you interpreted that story when you heard it. Mm-hmm. So Cinderella's been done probably a billion times, so that might have been plain Jane, white Mackie answer. I don't know. I don't even know much of the Fox and the Hound. I think would be a fun one. I love that film. That doesn't get nearly talked about enough as being an emotional train wreck. It would be fun, but my fear would be they'd make it like a Milo and Otis situation.
Oh God, yeah,
yeah,
where like 20 dogs and cats die while they make it.
Well, I'm not leaning that way. I just definitely wasn't going that way. I just like they take out the dialogue from the dogs, the fox and the basset hound. Yeah. So it's just the characters, and then you're just watching they're rolling around together. Maybe they're friends. Like, how
you just kind of have to assume.
That's what I'm saying. Like how lame would Fox and the Hound have been, the Disney version of it, if the animals didn't talk. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
but that would be a fun one if you could figure out a narrator that comes in and like just spins the tale real quick. Mm-hmm.
Almost like a nature documentary. Like this little guy is friends with this one.
No, I'm saying like, hey, you're in a world where these things can talk to each other, and then like just real quick, and then like things that happen, makes it a little bit more sense. Because like when I watch Aladdin or The Beauty and the Beast or what, it's always like I feel like this happened at some point in my lifetime. And I'm like this doesn't happen.
No.
So.
All right. Well, that does it for questions. Thank you guys for submitting those like a month ago. We've been meaning to get to them, but we just haven't had time with our previous episodes, but we did this time. So
appreciate you guys and asking questions. I love it. Me too. The heist one, not I'm picking favorites here. All right. Cause I love all of you, but heist question,
that one.
That was fucking fun.
You're getting an extra toy in your Happy Meal.
Oh, how much joy. How much joy did you have?
Speaking of being happy.
Ooh.
I'm going to be happy when I get to make a film pick recommendation.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yep.
So this is one I think we've talked about before, at least the director, and it is actually a shot-for-shot remake of an international film that was directed by the same guy, Michael Haneke. So I think I want us to talk about Funny Games.
Ooh.
The 2007 version.
The newer one?
Yes.
Interesting. I've seen both.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because the newer one's got, what's her name in it?
Naomi Watts?
Yeah. I think I saw that one first, and then I actually watched is it Danish, Swedish, German?
Let me look it up. Austrian.
I knew it was somewhere in Europe. I watched that one. I watched the full thing, and then you see the full thing of that one, and then you really don't have to watch the new one again. But yes, we're watching it. That's going to be a fun one to talk about. That'd be an interesting one to talk about. And that's been a while. I haven't seen that in like 10, 12 years.
Yeah. I haven't seen a Michael Haneke movie, and I figured that one would be a good one to start off.
You haven't seen this one?
Nope.
Ooh.
I have not.
Oh, boy.
I really don't know much about it, and I'm going in trying not to know as much about it. So
sure. Wow. This will be really fun.
I am excited.
I am too. Because I knew very little about it, and then I watched it, and it's like, hey, all right,
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Oh shit.
Cool. So if you guys don't want to be spoiled for Funny Games 2007, the US version, be sure to watch that movie before episode 39.
Hey, all right.
Thank you guys for checking us out. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're also on various social medias. We've got our website, www.neoncrewpodcast.com, and we've got our crew neck that is on the Etsy page.
Yes.
Which will also soon be accompanied by other t-shirt designs that our friend Lauren helped us with.
I can't wait to get we don't need it. We're not dropping it yet, but there's one that I will be having.
Oh, yes. I will absolutely order that for you. I'm excited for you guys to see the new designs that we have coming your way. So Those will be available on the Etsy page as well when I get those rolling out.
Sweet.
So, yeah. Thank you guys again for listening. And, Mac, what are we going to say at the end of the episode?
In the famous words of Gary Oldman, WWTHD.
Bye, everyone.